I just need a little bit more headroom. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm Julian Virgin. That is David Oblas. This is NFC Now, show number 14. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in from YouTube, Facebook community. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to the best podcast when it comes to the events, the people, and the fighters that go around making sure this NFC thing gets cracking. That is David Oblas. David, what's up, man? How you living?
Man, we're 6 minutes late. I've already gotten 3 texts from people.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Who do we blame it on?
You know, you can blame it all on me, but I just think that goes to show, and you can blame it on you too, because it goes to show we're doing such good work here on a weekly basis that people, they want to know where it's at, where it's coming from, and how we can get it to them. But we're here. Say no more.
People complain to us more than they complain to Joe Rogan.
It is what it is, man. That comes with the responsibility, with the privilege that we have to be here each and every Monday. We got a great show planned for the people today. We got our guy Jesse Wable hopping on the show, talking to us about the NFC Awards. The nominations are now fully online, so you can go ahead and nominate your favorite fighter for a plethora of different categories. We also have Lady Bree, formerly known as Sean Kilgris, coming on to kind of follow up with what we had going on last week. There were some conversations between Clay Bennett and us, and then Lady Bree's name got brought up, and she decided to chime into our feed. Asked her to be on last week, declined the offer, but we got her on this week, so we look forward to a healthy dialogue with Lady Bree a little bit later on in the show. Austin Green, NFC's heavyweight champion, just fought this past weekend for a different organization, and he got a victory, so we look forward to hearing from Austin Green. Corey Jackson, a.k.a. Maximus from ATT Atlanta, he's going to be on the show to talk about some things that he has going on fighting with the PFL, how soon we can expect to see him back into the ring. And we're also going to be joined by Faye Lynn, is it Cherrier? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think it's Cherrier. Again, we can ask her, and you're the announcer at the fights, so I need to know how to spell everyone's name correctly for the posters. You're the one that always needs to know how to announce it, but I think it's Faye Lynn Cherrier.
Shout out to Faye Lynn Cherrier. She just got her black belt. We'll go ahead and start with her, man. You were a proponent of her being on, man. Why'd you want Faye on?
I think there's not a hell of a lot of female black belts in Atlanta. She just got hers this past weekend from a hell of a gym, Bruno Frazato's Atos Atlanta. Probably one of the top gyms in Atlanta, obviously. A lot of people have been waiting for her to get a black belt. She's competed for NFC Jiu-Jitsu quite a few times. She's kind of teased us with potentially fighting MMA in the future. Be fun to see if we can find her an opponent at 105. But yeah, there's a lot of hype behind her. Everyone knows Faye. Everyone loves Faye. She cross-trains at numerous gyms. So I thought it would be a good time to get her on. I think we need to get a little more jiu-jitsu on here and there. And it's timely. She just got her black belt. She's probably the top person that got her black belt this past weekend, in my opinion. So if we didn't have her on this week, it wouldn't be timely by next week.
I definitely agree. I think having Faye on is great. I know she's been a part of a lot of the NFC Jiu-Jitsu shows, so we definitely need that representation. I'd love to hear from her about her getting her black belt. I was talking to Corey Jackson on Instagram yesterday. I figured it'd be a good time just to have him on, because he's a character in the NFC community. He's always somebody that's very active, very social, and somebody that's gone on to different promotions and fought. So look forward to hearing from him again. Austin Green, just NFC's heavyweight champion, just got another belt, I believe, in a different promotion. I think it's definitely timely for him to get on. Lady Bree, I know it was about a year ago where it was September 18th. I think that was the fight. I was watching the promo that Jenna Lee put together. Was supposed to fight I forgot who she was supposed to fight. I just
That
lost
was
his name. My man,
Jason Wolf from Striker
Jason
Fight
Wolf.
Center.
Jason Wolf was
Yeah.
supposed to fight Jason Wolf. That fight never materialized. So and it kind of just like faded away. Like it was a situation within the community. So I definitely look forward to doubling back and just hearing how that fight never happened, how the transition is continuously going. Yeah, so I look forward to talking with Lady Bree. But first, we have Jesse Wable coming on. Before we have Jesse Wable come on and talk about our NFC Awards Banquet, want to know what you did this weekend, Dave?
Yeah, as I told you, not many people following with the New York City this past weekend. I don't make it too public out there, but my dad passed away January 2nd, 2019, and he wanted his ashes spread in Yankee Stadium in New York City. So unfortunately, it took me over 3 years to get the job done, but finally accomplished the task this past weekend and did the tour in New York Stadium, Yankee Stadium in New York City, and spread his ashes throughout the stadium. So it was odd to walk around in the pouring rain with a Ziploc bag, first inside your boxers to get through security, and then move into your hoodie jacket and start throwing them everywhere you can without two security guards watching you. And unfortunately, half the ashes kind of from the wind went back into my jean pants, and had to be careful with the 20-mile-per-hour wind when I threw the ashes of him around and didn't the wind didn't take it to anyone else. I would have felt horrible for doing that. But yeah, 3 years later, finally got the job done. And, I think COVID slowed that down, unfortunately, airfare, and the Yankee Stadium was closed for a year or whatever. And then I'm just a horrible son. It was lazy, but finally got it done. So it took a while, but that's what counts.
You doing it, did it make you feel like a certain type of like way? I don't even know how to describe that way.
I guess it got a weight off my chest because it's something that we talked about every 3 weeks during chemo for a year, that's where he wanted it. And, I always think a worst case scenario of, we have a hurricane or a tornado come through Atlanta, or I leave my stove on and my house burns down or something like that. The ashes go with it. So, it's something I've mean to gotten done for a while now. And I had lunch with a friend about a month ago and told her about it. And she said, let's go to New York and get it done in a couple of weeks. So that kind of motivated me to finally get it done. So yeah, it's just good timing and just finally did what I had to do.
So you didn't go alone?
No, I went with a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
Like
Okay.
Unfortunately, none of that. I'm not a player.
Indeed.
I'm not so lucky.
Before we get to Jesse, I know we talked about what you did this weekend, man, but Hanukkah is coming up. I still have not done any research. Would you be able to tell us when Hanukkah is celebrated, how it's celebrated?
It started last night, so tonight's the second night of Hanukkah. Yeah, 8 glorious nights. So yeah, you still have time to give me a gift.
The word, okay. Is that what it is? Is it an exchange of gifts on 8 different nights, or how's that work?
It's supposed to be, but unless you didn't get me anything, I guess we're not. But yeah, it is supposed to be where you get someone gifts for 8 nights. Like when we grew up Jewish, there's 8 nights, there's 8 candles, and one for good luck, and you light 1 candle a night, and yeah, that's how it is.
So, word. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not Jewish, so I don't think I'm going to participate in the gift giving.
It's okay. I'm a horrible Jew. I haven't even been bar mitzvah, so I'm kind of the worst Jew there is.
Yeah. Do you have like a Jewish community that you do hang out with, that you could observe Hanukkah with?
Just my family. I'm a horrible Jew. So,
okay. Yeah. It's all good, man.
I don't like most Jewish people. They're annoying. So,
indeed. Yeah. Well, we as a community still love you, David Oblas. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now. This is episode 14, rather. Episode 14. We got a jam-packed show for you all, starting off with our guy, Jesse Wable. Before we get to him, we just want to encourage all of you, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and buy tickets to our next show, which is on January 20th at Monday Night Brewing. We have a stacked card. It's going to be our first card of the year here in Georgia. Definitely make sure you go ahead and maybe gift a ticket. Maybe somebody can do that for David. Buy yourself a ticket.
Yeah, I think we're sending out mass emails and some promotions tomorrow, actually, that fight tickets make a great holiday gift. You can buy them right now, get them on Christmas Day, and share the time with someone on January 20th to fight. It's an all-ages show. So, yeah, bring the whole family out. There's only a couple tables of 4 left, probably about 50 ringside seats, but I think only 2 or 3 tables of 4 left. So I'm in 5 weeks ahead of time right now. It's looking terrific.
I gotta say, man, when that promotion came out 3 days ago, it was like the best way to support your fighter is to go buy a ticket to the NFC. I was gonna text you and be like, touche. That was actually a very, very clever way of marketing. Hey, David, I respect you. I see what you got going on a week-to-week basis, man.
Hey,
I got
that's
to
just
out to you.
the cool thing is I'll give Michael Kelly with the Kelly Promotions credit that does our marketing in the last few months. We kind of talk every couple of days and spin ideas through each other, and then he makes it happen online. But yeah, that was something we talked about. If you are looking to support a fighter, I don't think a lot of people know that when we sell fight tickets, fighters get anywhere from 20% all the way up to 35%, depending on how many tickets they sell. So yeah, that is the absolute way to support a fighter. And that probably takes us into our awards banquet, supporting fighters. So the awards banquet will be sometime in February, probably like early February. That's what we've done in the last 2 years. Probably going to be a district is what we're looking at. And we're going to change it up in the last few years. When we first started the awards banquet, there was a critics choice. And we have critics for MMA and jiu-jitsu that we kind of depend on their honest opinion. They go to a lot of fights. They know who they are. So it's usually like MMA trainers, jiu-jitsu trainers, gym owners, people like you that sit cage side that know all the action. Jesse, myself, jiu-jitsu, Clay Bennett, Nate Mann. So we probably have 15 or 20 people in each. But in the past few years, we've done Critics' Choice, first place, and a runner-up, or first place and honorable mention, however you describe it. So this year, we're going to change it back to the way we first had it, where it was Critics' Choice, first place, and Fans' Choice, first place. So we're going to put it online where once we get done with the nominations, the public can actually vote who they think should be the winner in each Fans' Choice category. And when we did it last probably 5 or 6 years ago this way every year, we probably got over 50, 60,000 votes easily on the Fans' Choice. So people are definitely interested in it. The Crybabies said that it turns into kind of a popularity contest, and I agree with them. It is. But everything's a popularity contest. That's why McGregor makes the big money. That's why Nate Diaz is one of the most popular fighters. So the guys that are most popular, the guys that can share this more often, the guys that care that they win an award, it'll be first place for the critics and then first place for the Fans' Choice, the way we used to do it.
I gotta ask, man, like, why are there so many categories in which that we're voting on? It seems like a litany of categories,
So each year we've actually slimmed it down some. Like we used to have, and there is a lot of categories, but I think that's the way that we get. I think there's a lot of categories to cover. Like we've looked at other MMA awards show and they have similar, but we used to have like best event of the year on there. We eliminated that. And not to sound like a cocky prick, but every best event was an NFC event. We used to have best matchmaker of the year. Jesse Wable obviously won best matchmaker of the year every year.
There's so we've kind of, one.
Unfortunately for Jesse, we've kind of taken that award away. We used to have best manager of the year, sponsor of the year. We'd have the fight doctor of the year. We had the athletic commissioner of the year. So those are all awards that we've kind of taken away that haven't gotten a lot of fanfare. But I think a lot of the other categories, pretty much are important categories. And some of them don't even have a winner. Like I'm trying to think, and we can get Wable's opinion, but like female pro Muay Thai fighter of the year, female pro knockout of the year. We just don't have that many. So for that one, we usually just eliminate that category.
That does make sense. I mean, as I was going through the nomination list, and I'm pulling it up right now, man, it just seemed like it was very extensive. It was, and it was very it was extensive, but it was also very particular, which made me sometimes think dang, maybe there might not be everybody. I mean, what MMA amateur fight of the year, MMA pro knockout of the year. Well, I mean, those are obviously ones that, I think should be covered. It was just very detailed. And I hope that, people, they could, especially even the critics, that our memory banks are expansive enough so we don't forget anybody and just
well, we actually, I guess you haven't been a part of it before, but when we do the spreadsheet, we're going to give you all the categories and we're going to give you everyone that's been nominated. So when you go to vote, when we send you the spreadsheet, it'll say amateur MMA knockout of the year and it'll have the 10 or 12 fights listed. So it's not going to be a problem for you to go back and remember, but that is the bad thing. People do remember the October, November fights because it's the last fight on your memory. So it is a little bit more challenging there.
The knockout of the year really might be the Nathan Rivera KO. That was a great knockout, but I mean, just in terms of where it happened, when it happened, how many times I've seen it, on video. That just might just win just because. But I guess that's the beautiful part about us having the popularity vote, and we have the Critics' Choice vote. So without further ado, we got our guy Jesse Wable in the queue here and only here on NFC Now. Show 14 came with 2 belts. The official champion, the matchmaker of the year.
Ooh, bigger than my head. Look at these things.
Man, they look good too, man. So are you carrying those around all the time? Are you carrying those around all the time?
All the time. They're by my side 24/7.
Hey, that's pretty gangster, man. I see that beard is really coming in too, man. What's going on?
Yeah, a little bit. It's time for a trim. It's cold outside though, so I'm just trying to keep my hair on my head and keep everything warm.
You really could be like Saint Nick, like one of his cousins or something, man. Like one of the elves with the orange in it.
Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't understand. I got brown hair and an orange beard. I don't know where that came from, but it's weird genetics.
It's gangster, man. You look great, man. Good to see you, Wable. We haven't seen you in a while, man. How's things been since we last chimed in? Since really the last fight night?
Man, things are going good. NFC, in January is pretty much booked. I'm kind of bored lately. I'm waiting on David to give me a February date. I keep hounding him every day. David, give me a date. I need a date. I got an inbox full of fighters hitting me up daily, and we're ready to rock. So everything's going good.
It should be Wednesday. Wednesday's going to be the latest I'm giving this venue. So if we don't find out by Wednesday, we'll have a date. And if we do find out by Wednesday, we'll have a date. So one way or another by Wednesday.
All right, you heard it.
Before we get into the NFC Awards Banquet, I just want to address something because there's been a topic of conversation on the show and within the community. Is it true that you hold all the good fights for the Jesse Wable Amateur Series?
No. I mean, obviously, I try to put, obviously the ticket selling fights on there, and but Dave has been. I'm never going to take fights away from Dave's events. Dave's been so good to me, man. And obviously all my events I'm trying to sell out, but I'm obviously trying to sell out for Dave too. You know what I mean? I owe Dave everything for, everything he's done for me. And I'm always trying to hook Dave up and sell out all his events as well.
Just so we can set the record straight for the naysayers out there, man. Jesse Wable, he plays it fair. Matchmaker of the year back when that was a part of the awards ceremony. But
I will say, I think we've been successful selling out almost every event that we do. So I think that's a good thing. Like right now, January 20th, Monday Night Brewing is tracking towards a sellout. And then when we start the February and March card, I'm hoping to get it announced by this week, do some last minute stocking stuffer and Christmas discounts on it to launch it off. So that's why I'm pushing by this Wednesday, one way or the other. So I think that'll get us to where March is sellout, get back to the Jesse Wable Amateur Series, hopefully in April. So, I even if one event suffers, I don't think it suffers much. I think we do the job every event.
Indeed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Jesse Wable, NFC's lead matchmaker, only matchmaker, the two-strap shouty over there, man, joining us here on NFC Now. The big discussion right now is our NFC Awards Banquet, which will be happening in early February. Nominations are now open and available. What have you been seeing thus far?
Man, I'm excited for the banquet. It's, one of the funnest, things of the year we get to do. Showcasing everybody that got knockouts, got good submissions, had fights of the year, the breakthrough fighters of the year, coaches of the year. It's fun. I like seeing everybody get engaged and get involved in it and vote. And, I'm excited. There's a lot of good nominations for each category, for knockouts, submissions, fight of the year. It's going to be a close call for a lot of these. So I'm curious to see how it goes.
Is there a particular category that you think is going to be closer than something else?
I got everything. I got some notes right in front of me all over the place. The closest one I'm looking at is probably amateur submission of the year. Let's see. Amateur submission of the year. Yeah, we've got some good ones. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Earl McKinney was a good one.
Oh, wow.
Lisa Glimp, the armbar over Desiree Bennett was sick. That was slick. Let's see. Trace Harper over Ryan Kimbrough, just the shock factor in that. One of my favorites, underrated because he's not very vocal, but Nima Changizi, his anaconda choke over TJ Holt.
Yeah.
TJ had his own walkout. The whole crowd was behind him. Yeah. Nima came out with crickets and submitted him and silenced the crowd. That was a good one.
Yeah.
But the two that are, I think, in the top contention is definitely Chad Risley's armbar over Brian Armstrong and Abraham Perez's guillotine over Chris Nguyen. It's going to be tough to pick between those two.
And it all happened on the same night. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Those were the two I circled, along with the Augusta fight night. Wendy and Knudsen defeated Kirsten Pack.
Yeah, that was also a good one.
Me down in Augusta, beating Kirsten Pack in her hometown. And I think since then I've followed Wendy quite a bit, and she's had some big wins. But yeah, those are the three that I circled along with you, I think.
Yeah, Wendy's good. Kirsten is more of a Muay Thai fighter, which I wasn't super surprised with that finish. But yeah, Wendy's good. Kirsten's good. That was definitely a good scrap.
Yeah, Wendy's from Conflict, correct?
Correct.
Now, how does that go? Because, there's some fighters that primarily fight with a Conflict. There's some fighters that primarily fight with an Aries. How do you go about when it comes to this award ceremonies? Like, do we favor our NFC fighters? Like, where do we land on that one?
No, definitely not. So we added the Macon Fight Night fights and the Chattanooga Fight Night fights on. We didn't exclude anybody. We're all cool with each other. Me, Jared, and Tim, we are always shooting ideas off of each other, and we're real cool with each other. So it's definitely nice to have these guys around. Last minute fill-ins, they're hitting me up, I'm hitting them up. We're all cool with each other, and it's a good thing.
Indeed.
And I will add, for the awards banquet, it's not just NFC fights. It's basically, if you're a fighter that lives in Georgia and you fought on any show in the world, we want people to nominate you, and we're going to have people end up voting on you. So, if Cody Durden fought in Las Vegas and got the submission of the year and the knockout of the year, someone nominated him because he will be voted on. So it's not just if you fought for NFC in Georgia, if you fought anywhere in Georgia, if you fought anyone else, and if you're a Georgia-based fighters. Like, for example, I saw on your sheet you had the New York girl on here, and I can't remember where.
Phaedra Knight.
Yeah, Phaedra Knight. So Phaedra Knight's from New York. She beat a hometown girl. I'm actually going to take her off the list because if you're not in Georgia, we always make it where you can't win. So I'm actually going to cross her off where I saw her on your list.
Phaedra's like the 50-year-old that came to fight, right?
Yeah, the lacrosse player, yep.
Word.
I don't want to use a number. She was an elder lady. I can't quote exactly 50, but she was up there.
She was up there.
I actually did hit her up when I went to New York City a couple weeks ago because she lives up there. But yeah, for anyone that lives in Georgia, like what's his name, the heavyweight here, Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett hasn't fought in Georgia since he fought for us at Cowboys, maybe.
Yeah, Pink Pony versus Bolo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was more recent than fighting at Cowboys, I guess. But I think Chris Barnett is up for a couple awards here, just based on what he's done in the UFC this year. So.
Fascinating. Now, Jesse, you did say that you had a litany of notes in front of you, man. What other notes pop off the page?
Basically, I just wrote a list of all the finishes I wrote down. I didn't write down every decision. The fights that were boring, I'm scrapping them. But, I wrote down all the knockouts, all the submissions, all the fights that I thought, were potential, fight of the year candidates. And just there's a lot of good ones, just like amateur knockout of the year. You were talking about, let's see that. Where are we at? Amateur knockout of the year.
Funny, I've got your sheet printed off, and you've probably got them taped all the way.
Yeah, I've got them taped right in front of my face, and I'm trying to find them. Yeah, so you were talking about Nathan Rivera's knockout, which was a great one. That's definitely up there. The ones that I think are going to contend with that, Travell Miller, his second round knockout over Farouk Kayoum at the Monday Night Brewing, 10 seconds. 10 seconds into the second round was nuts. Roberto Sosa, his first round knockout over Brandon Arrington at the district. That was a crazy knockout. Stunned him on his feet. He was kind of out on his feet and then put him down with another 1-2. That was sick. Ryan Kimbrough over Antonio Walker was another good one. But the one I think's closest to Nathan Rivera's is definitely that Manny Owaha versus Adrian Hayes that was at the Pink Pony. That short right hook that put Adrian Hayes on his face also in the first round. I mean, Nathan Rivera's was definitely quicker, but, it was also a sick one-punch knockout, just like Nathan Rivera. So those are the two top ones for me, I think.
Oh, see, hey, I like your memory too, man. That was a slept-on fight. That was a Pink Pony card. That was an outside card. It wasn't our regular, but that was one of the knockouts of the year. Definitely, he stunned him, and that was pretty early in the fight too. Was that not the first exchange as well? It
was the first 25 seconds, I believe.
So yeah, I think that definitely has to contend. I know Nathan Rivera is a hometown favorite, so I'm assuming that he'll probably win the fans' choice. But when you leave it up to the critics, those who cover the NFC or around the NFC, I think that definitely has a a strong contention, man. Now, is there a particular category that you kind of cherish more than others? Not one that's like a regular one, but like a niche category that you're like, I like that category, and I think it's important that we highlight.
Yeah, I'm a kickboxer at heart. So, amateur Muay Thai fight of the year. I'm always a big fan of that one. And we've got some good ones this year. Of course, Seth Haas, Cameron Burton, crazy fight. Jose Villazana versus Alex Big Palm Caruso was a great one. The co-main event of JWAS 3, Chloe Greeley and Saba Nabavunejad was a super, super close fight and a high-level fight for females. I was a big fan of that fight. I've gone back and watched it a few times because there was some controversy in that decision. It was a really, really great fight. Cameron Burton, again, versus Adam Silcio was a dope fight. That was a 5-round banger. And another female fight, Paige Gerardo versus Hannah Alexander at a knuckle up, was another really good fight. So there's those 5 fights right there are all hard to choose from for amateur Muay Thai fight of the year.
Indeed.
It's funny because I think Seth Haas is the only person I've seen on the list in years twice for something like this, where he defeated Jamarcus Hall and defeated Cameron Burton, or actually that was in a draw.
Yeah, we got Cameron Burton. Cameron Burton is also on there twice. Cameron Burton versus Seth and Cameron versus Adam Silcio, yeah.
And then you have dating each other. Paige Gerardo defeated Hannah Alexander.
Yeah.
And then her boyfriend, Adam Silcio, versus Cameron Burton. So
yeah.
It'd be kind of cool to see a boyfriend and girlfriend win the awards.
Right? Yeah. That'd be interesting.
I'm fascinated to see how the fans vote goes, especially when it comes to Fighter of the Year. What are we thinking? What are you seeing on the nominations? Because, again, we're still in nomination season. We're actually not in voting season just yet. When does voting actually start, gentlemen?
So I think it's going to be we're going to keep this up for a couple weeks. I think I talked to Michael Kelly yesterday about it. I think we're going to do the nominations. And, again, it's funny. I see people on Facebook saying, go vote for me right now. You're not voting just yet. This is just nomination. So if you nominate yourself, you don't have to ask people to go nominate you. Once you've done it, it's done. But I think we're going to have this go through after Christmas, like December 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there. Because by then we'll have it all. I think we're at over 350 nominations right now, to be honest. So it's huge. And then I think we're going to start the voting like December 31st while everyone's sitting at home doing nothing but watching college football. We'll have the voting start then. We'll get a big pop for a couple of days. And then we'll end that probably mid to late January, give or take. Give that about 2 or 3 weeks.
So again, we're in nomination season right now. I'm interested.
I think your audio just cut out, Julian.
Say it again. What'd you say, Dev?
Can you hear him? Jesse?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Yeah, I got you clear. So we're in nomination season right now. I'm interested to see how people are voting when it comes to Fighter of the Year, or nominating when it comes to Fighter of the Year. What names do we have up there?
Fighter of the Year, man. There's a lot of them for pro and Ami. Let's see, Fighter of the Year. Corey Jackson, who you guys are going to have on later, is one you can throw up there. Austin Green, 5-0 as a pro now. Just fought last night. You guys are also going to have on later. So those are 2 contenders right there. Amateur Fighter of the Year, man. That's a tough one, man. But I'm going to have to go with my boy Abraham Perez. 2 huge fights this year. I'd be shocked to see anybody but Abraham Perez win. Like I said, not playing favorites. I don't play favorites with anybody. I'm just kind of saying it how it is. I could be wrong, like I said, but Abraham Perez to me is one of the top amateurs of the year for sure.
So I might be sounding a little biased, man, but when I think about Fighter of the Year, I think about activity, 1. Yeah. I think about accomplishments, 2, and I think about impact. And somebody to me that's jumped off the screen is TJ Holt, man. I just feel like what he does for the NFC is bigger than that fight against Nima. He got choked out. It was an epic fight, and it's one of those. You know how people say, "Oh, did Michael Chandler really lose the Justin Gaethje fight?" Yeah, he may have lost it on paper, but did he lose any stock in that? You know what I'm saying? Just for TJ Holt to go back his next fight and fight for the Muay Thai belt. He fought Travell Miller. That Travell Miller fight, that was a moment. You know what I'm saying?
So dope.
The entire fight. And like him calling out Travell. I don't know if that happened earlier this year or did it happen last year. But I feel like even with a loss that he had last year, he was active. he fought, and he made an imprint. So that's just something that I would think about as we're making these nominations and we're making these votes. It's not about the wins and the losses. It's about kind of like the impact that you had. Because like David says every week on the pod, it's like, look, man, this is a stepping stone. We're trying to get you to the next level. And I feel like anybody that's helped his stock the most this year is a guy like TJ Holt. Your thoughts?
Yeah, TJ Holt he's a great guy, man. Hell of a fighter, hell of a striker. And not only a good fighter, a good person. I know he's got with Dave before about setting up like little charity events and people, doing little parties for people around his neighborhood just to help out and give out book bags and give out school supplies. And the nicest guy in the world. He's got one hell of a smile. He's got some pearly white teeth on him. TJ Holt. He's a great fighter. His walkout songs, like I said, I'm a big entrance guy. I talk about it all the time. Him versus Travell Miller, those walkouts, good Lord, man, got goosebumps just sitting in the cage. Sometimes it's hard for me to like maintain control, but dude, those entrances were so dope. And just the fight itself and all the controversy afterwards, that kind of sucked. But yeah, that was such a great fight. But yeah, TJ Holt is the man. I like TJ a lot.
Could you just share with me like who has the most fights this year? Like who have you booked the most this year?
Cameron Burton's been super busy. I know he's had about 4 or 5 fights this year. Idell Gladney, another one. He's been staying busy. Idell and TJ Holt, I think, are 2 top contenders for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, in my opinion. Now, I really like Idell a lot. That'd be a good fight down the road, too, now that I'm thinking about it from a matchmaker.
When you said that, I was like, they're kind of close in weight.
We're going to make it happen.
Okay, yeah. I like that, man. Can I throw in another one? I think Tony Hope. He's fought a lot this year, this year, in the NFC. Like, so yeah, there's a lot of different names that just pop out the page, and I feel like there's some matchups for Tony Hope out there too. I don't mean to be matchmaker, but I feel like there's some matchups out there in kickboxing, especially at that lower weight class. So. Yeah, man, just as we're sitting here having this dialogue, got my wheels turning about some of the people that have like made impacts to me coming up in the NFC this year.
And it's funny when you mentioned Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, my headphones finally work. When you guys mentioned Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, one guy I'll go back to again that I think of is Chris Barnett. He was nowhere a year or 2 ago. He had traveled all over the world, but no one had really found a home for him. Not everyone in the world knew him, his walkouts, how funny he is, his fighting style, and his post-fight celebrations. Even though he's an old school guy, I throw Chris Barnett out there, and also along with him, Trayshawn Gore. Trayshawn has not broken through with the NFC this year, but Trayshawn Gore has broken through with the UFC this year. And what does that mean as far as a breakthrough fighter? I think those are the guys that go against each other, like a Tony Hope, like you just mentioned, a TJ Holt, a Chris Barnett, and a Trayshawn Gore. So it makes it pretty interesting for people to vote on something like that.
I'm also thinking as we're having this dialogue, man, like what kind of categories could we throw out there that could push people to kind of step into a different role when it comes to the NFC? I know you were talking about the best dressed fighter. And
I wanted to make, I was shot down. I wanted to make the sexiest fighter. Who is the best looking male fighter and who is the best looking female fighter? I don't think anyone would be offended. I think that should be a category. Maybe even the best dressed person. I think those are fun categories we could have fun with.
I side with David. Jesse, I saw you shaking your head. What are your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I think we might get some people's feelings hurt. I like walkout of the year. I just thought about that before the podcast, but walkout of the year would be a good one.
And I think
entrance of the year. Entrance of the year.
I like that. I like the entrance of the year because that would get people for future shows to actually put more thought into their entrance.
And it is a category and other promotion. Andy Nguyen, somebody that me and Dave knows really well. She actually won the Ariel Helwani's walkout of the award one year. That was really cool. The MMA Hour Award. So that was cool. You like Ariel Helwani, Julian. Yeah. So yeah, he has his own award show every year. That's on there. So I like that.
I also think we need to make the award show different than the years past. I think we need to make everyone dress up. Either it's black tie or you got to get dressed to the nines or do something more fun with this kind of thing. I think if you show up in an Affliction t-shirt, we throw your ass out. I think it's got to be, and then maybe we make a best dressed category at the award show, whoever's dressed the best or something like that.
That could be like an intermission vote.
As long as I can wear my belts.
Jesse, honestly, you need to come to every fight night with both of those belts like that, man, so people understand who the hell they're dealing with.
David, I can't wait for you to hold these things. I can't wait to bring them to the next fight. Oh, dude, they're heavy. Yeah, they're heavy. They're big.
I am proud of you because I'm pretty damn cheap, and you're just as cheap as I am. So I'm proud to see you actually make some money and spend some money on something you really wanted.
Yeah, I've wanted one since I was like 10 years old. So I figured, what's better than one? Two.
And Brantley Furr's wife, Kaylee Clark Fur, just said black tie. So see, I've got people that want this. I think people would have fun getting dressed up and showing their personality and pizzazz out there. That's my thoughts. I think you need to keep things changing every year and make them fun and different.
I definitely agree with you, David, about us making this a black tie event, like have everybody dress up, because this is an awards banquet, and this is a very important time for us to reflect back on another great year in the NFC. So I do think that everybody should dress up. And I also do second what you're saying. I think we should have a best looking fighter, guys and girls. Jesse, you said feelings might get hurt, man, but this is the fight business, brother. Come on.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
You know,
you're absolutely right.
And
there's ugly people like me. Us ugly people know we're not going to win those awards.
Just don't make ugliest fighter of the year. All right, I'm not trying to win that.
Fair.
I'm going to win that every year.
Ugliest, but I think you know, if I took home the best fighter of the year, because I know these fighters have egos, they can act like they don't. But like you see all these guys taking photos after practice like this, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I think we should do that. I think that's a great category. Y'all let us know at home, what kind of categories would you also like to see a part of the NFC Awards Banquet? Y'all just go ahead and drop a comment either right here on Facebook, on YouTube. Let us know exactly what you're thinking. Now, Jesse Wable, NFC's lead matchmaker, joining us here on NFC Now 14. Jesse, we haven't really gotten too deep into this January 20th card that will be taking place at Monday Night Garage. Is it Monday Night Garage or Monday Night Brewing? What are they calling it?
It's called Monday Night Brewing, but they have 2 locations, so we always need to specify it's the garage location.
Okay.
But Monday Night Brewing garage location.
Monday Night Brewing garage location, man. There's a lot of different fights that are going on, man. I see we have some belts up for grabs too, the welterweight and the lightweight belt. Man, tell us about this card.
Yeah, man, it's a good fight card so far. Like I said, we've got 18 fights, I believe 5 pro fights, which is a goal of mine this year. Going back over the fights this year, I realized, man, this might be the least amount of pro fights that I've ever matched. And it's not, by choice, just people not being available or, fights getting canceled or fights falling off. There wasn't as many as I've normally have in a year. So a goal of mine is definitely to have more. But we've got 5 pro fights on the January 20th card. A couple that I'm really excited about is Zach Cooper versus Walter Flores. That's going to be a great one. Michael Portner is going to be on the card. We've got the amateur.
Going to be on the card.
You're right. Yeah. just as I say that. Yeah. Portner is actually off the card as of today. We've got the amateur title fight. Probably the fight that I'm most excited about on the card is Quincy Evans versus Trace Harper. That's just the story behind that fight, how it all happened, the vacated belts, Trace stepping in against Ryan on short notice and making things happen. The story behind Trace and Quincy and Trace's mom and everything. I'm super invested in this fight now. I can't wait to see that fight.
I'm actually with you on that one, and I know we're getting ready to make the promotion for that fight, man. Do you think that should be the fight that's highlighted?
I mean, I think so. I think that fight and the Zach Cooper versus Walter Flores fight for sure. Walter definitely earned, I think, getting a shot at getting promotion, beating Kozer in the amateur series. He's going to be fighting Zach Cooper. It's probably going to be his toughest fight to date. But Zach Cooper is also, taking Walter very seriously. That's going to be a good scrap. I'm not sure how that one's going to go, but for sure, Trace Harper and Quincy Evans, man, I think that's the fight. And like you said, that's a fight I'd love on my amateur series. So I'm definitely not taking fights away. I'm giving that one today. But yeah, that's going to be man, I can't wait for that fight for real.
And you even left off what I think is going to be going to Ronald Humphrey versus Xavier Horton.
Yeah. I didn't have the spreadsheet right in front of me, but yeah, that's another good one. We saw Ronald Humphrey up in Chattanooga the other month, and that kid is a stud. Xavier Horton packs such power. Every time he fights, it's so fun to watch him fight. That's going to be another good one for sure, Dave.
Again, there's no shade being thrown here from journalist Julian, man, but I feel like it's a fair point for us to bring up Xavier's gas tank, man. Sometimes it seems like that is the biggest point in contention, man. Do you think he has the gas tank to compete with somebody like Ronald?
Well, and the big thing about the gas tank is this is going to be his first 5-round fight too. So it's not a 3-round fight. It's going to be 5 rounds at 3 minutes each for the belt. You saw the last fight. He kind of coasted out the first 2 rounds, did his thing. But then he didn't have anything left in that 3rd round. So it's just going to depend what happens if the fight goes past rounds 1 and rounds 2. To be honest, I don't see it going past rounds 1 and rounds 2, just how explosive these guys are and the way they come in the cage at each other when they fight. But we'll see what happens.
That's definitely a big, exciting fight scheduled for January 20th. Is that a Saturday or a Friday? Friday, January 20th at Monday Night Garage. Now, going back to you talking about
it's funny. Devontae Sewell just said Fight of the Year, me on LFA. So I think we've got that on our list, Devontae, and we've also got Corey Jackson versus you as a potential Fight of the Year. So we actually have 2 of your categories on there, Devontae. So yeah,
I know Devontae was pretty upset about that that decision between him and Corey Jackson. Is it possible that maybe we have like the robbery of the year? And I'm not calling it a robbery. I'm not calling that fight a robbery, but just for fans to vote on. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, like that. I don't know if that was a good decision because there's some decisions that are more questionable than others.
Worst decision of the year?
What y'all think?
I will say, knowing MMA well enough, you're going to have the crybabies out there that say, hold on, I won that fight. And using Corey Jackson example, he's going to say, hold on, what the fuck? You guys put me up for robbery of the year. I won that fight. So I know we have little people upset there.
Again, look, that's why the nominations are open to everybody, and you have a fan vote, you have a critics vote. You know what I'm saying? There's some fights where the decision is a little suspect. I actually love the way Corey handled the post-fight interview, and I think that should be another category. Is like, yo, post-fight interview of the year. Because
you started this off by telling me there are too many categories. You've now added 4 new categories.
I did.
You see how it happens? This is where I can't control it. We quickly spin out of control.
I sound like a hypocrite. I sound like a flaming hypocrite, man.
But who do you guys have the pro fight of the year? Corey Jackson versus Devontae, Austin Green versus Cam Graham, or Jared Gooden versus Doug Usher?
Man, that's a toss-up. It's a toss-up for me between Corey Jackson and Devontae and Doug and Jared. Both were crazy scrap. And, the Austin Green fight, too. The Austin Green fight was back and forth. And how many times you see a 265-man get a triangle choke off of his back in the last round of a title fight? So, all 3 of those, are potentially fights of the year. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going with Doug Usher and Jared Gooden. I thought that was an incredible fight. Even though it was a 2.5 round fight, I still thought that every second of that fight was riveting. The crowd was crazy. It was billed as the fight of the decade, and it lived up to it. Even with Doug breaking his hand, I still feel like at the end of the day, Doug won that fight. He proved his point.
Fight shorts of the year, Doug Usher. Them blood dripped fight shorts he had, those were dope.
Wow. See, now you're getting out of hand with the category fighting shorts. Hey, I love it though, because I do feel like that all aspects of the NFC do need to be highlighted at our NFC Awards Banquet. Generally, she did recommend that some of these speeches get cut a little short. We might have to start cueing some music or something here moving forward.
I don't think either one of us disagree. You were waiting for a pause. Neither of us disagree. I see Lady Bree waiting in our Porter Hill, probably the biggest guest we've ever had in the history of the NFC Now podcast.
Can't wait to have Lady Bree on. But before we do that, Jesse, we want your final thoughts, man. What do you want to leave the NFC community with today?
Yeah, everybody get on there. Cast your votes. Sorry, not your votes, your nominations. Voting will begin soon. Stay tuned for details on the awards banquet, and looking forward to it. Thank you guys for having me on. Looking forward to the rest of the podcast. It's a highlight of my Monday every week. Watching this, not only, like I said, I get to learn a lot too. Just letting you guys know, I get to learn a lot watching this podcast. Learn from Dave, from you, from the fighters. It helps me a lot for matchmaking, doing my job and everything. I really, really enjoy this podcast. And, I just kind of wanted to let you guys know, I really do look forward to watching this every week, and I learn a shit ton every week.
Before we let you go, since we got Lady Bree in the pod, I did have a question for when he comes on next. I don't even know if Lady Bree's looking to fight again or not, but Do you think we can even get a fight for Lady Bree if he chooses to fight again?
I mean, that's up to you, Dave. I was pretty disappointed the way everything went last time. If it's up to me personally, I don't like it. But, if it makes sense, it makes sense. So.
I just didn't know if any opponents would even come.
If he's interested, we'll start looking for sure. But take it seriously this time. Don't be backing out 3 days before.
We'll find out if there's a reunion or not, or if there's a retirement.
We will find out, Jesse. You just have to make one promise, man. Promise us that you bring both belts to the January 20th card.
You got it. They will be
and
there.
The awards banquet.
$20 a picture if you guys want pictures with the belts.
That's the undisputed matchmaker of the year.
Yes,
Double
sir.
champ, Jesse Wable. Thank you, Jesse, for joining us, man. And we appreciate the flowers that you gave us too, man. Much love, brother.
Absolutely. Love you guys.
Love you too, Jesse. I love
the
you
matchmaker of the year that we get.
You love him, man.
I don't say it often. I love him. I still remember when he told me before I went out versus jiu-jitsu against Germonte. He said, "Love your man," and I was like, "Okay, thanks," because I'm not good at that. So yeah.
But you felt it. You felt it. You was like, "Okay."
I still remember it. Yeah. I think I've watched the video probably 600 times and hear it kind of in the background right before Archie ever saw rap while I walked out.
I still respect that you made that walk, man. I remember when we talked about it on the show, man, and how I just want to make the walk one time, and you just told me like, yeah, I just wanted to make the walk. So you made the walk. Respect.
Yeah, maybe I'll get back to jiu-jitsu and you and I versus each other, and we can make our walks lit, and the match will be the worst match in the history of jiu-jitsu. So,
I don't know, man. I'm coming. If I'm gonna compete, I'm going all the way. Man. I'm a try hard. I'm a die hard. I'm a try hard. You feel me?
You're a try hard, but neither one of us are good at jiu-jitsu, so we can both try as good as we can.
I think we're pretty damn good at what we do each and every Monday here and only here on NFC Now. This is show number 14. We were just joined by Jesse Wable. I appreciate his insight, man. Jesse has a brain for this, and he lives, eats, and sleeps the NFC. And every time he gets on, he's so informative with the information that he's given. Not only you and I, but the entire NFC community.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, whenever you're ready, we got Lady Bree, but we got Austin Green coming on at 8:15. So let's hammer up Lady.
Hearing from Lady Bree right now, here and only here on NFC Now. Lady Bree, happy Monday.
What's up, guys? Can y'all hear me?
Clear. Is that your gaming room?
It's something. It's a little side area I have next to the living room. I don't know if y'all can hear anything in the background. Let me know. I might have to adjust my mic settings.
No, we got it. The mic gave it away. Like the mic, it's like the Call of Duty mic. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh no, you be gaming.
No, that's what I'm doing now. Actually, I'm getting into competitive gaming and streaming. I'm starting a podcast for Gamecocks football.
You better not be starting a podcast for fighting in Georgia. I'll whip your ass. Or I'll try to whip your ass.
I see that happening.
I'm going to respect the black belt.
I hope
so. I know you beat the crap out of me.
I mean, you beat your Monte, man. I mean, it was a very excellent wrestling fest you put on that kid. We'll
I don't think Germonte and Lady Bree are anywhere in the same category, though. I will admit you're a black belt and you beat the dog shit out of me. I think we all know that, obviously.
Germonte's more fierce than me. I think when it comes down to it, man. He's got that dog, that killer. I don't have that killer anymore.
Do you still train at all? That was I have 100 questions for you, but one was, do you still train at all?
No, I don't have that, I don't have the desire. I saw Warren talking about he's doing semi-pro football now. And I was like, man, I'd love to get into that if I didn't like fucking waking up in pain every day. I'm over that pain stuff. And anybody, I know we're going to talk about the Jason Wolf fight. Anybody that was training with me would tell you, daily, I was in so much pain, man. It was like trying to keep Humpty Dumpty back together again. It was just whatever. Let's talk. What is it you guys want to know?
Let's go ahead and start with how we even got to talking last week. Last week on the pod, we had on Clay Bennett. We were having a conversation, and your name was brought up. And then towards the end of the pod, you chimed in via our comments section. What did you hear, and what made you want to comment, and how were you feeling last week?
Oh, no, just somebody was watching the podcast, and they regularly kind of communicate with me anyway. So they hit me up and they were like, hey, they just mentioned you. And so I was like, oh, well, what was said? So, I mean, it wasn't even anything really said. And then, it was just, kind of getting the facts straight on the event, because I think they were talking about, the first jiu-jitsu match was me and Quentin. And it was actually it was supposed to be me and Quentin, and then I had an injury to my throat. Like I had like a tear in my esophagus or some crap. I don't know what it was, but I had to pull out. Joe Elmore actually stepped in and did the first match with Quentin, and then Quentin and I did it later, a couple months later or something like that. So
I think I mentioned Quentin's a boring jiu-jitsu competitor.
Quentin is not a boring jiu-jitsu competitor. No. Now we had a fast
debatable.
We had a fast match. It went fast, but we were actually both doing leg locks. We both, I didn't know. They told me after the match, they were like, man, that kid's got like rubber ankles. You know that, right? I was like, well, I guess I know now. But, I had a Clover ankle lock working on him. And while I was working it, I just lost track of my own ankle. And all of a sudden I was in an inverted heel hook, which is pretty much that's the nastiest leg lock you can get on somebody. So when he got it, it was like, oh shit, it was like, it was real sudden and it was quick, and I didn't really have a chance to like counter back. He countered mine, and then there was no counter back. So I thought it was a cool match for the time it lasted. It was, it went, and there was neither one of us were stalling. It was like, hey, we're going at it. We knew what we were going for, and we went at it. So, and Quentin was competing at a super high level back then. I think he was hitting like EBIs and all kinds of stuff. And I was just coming off the shelf because not a lot of people wanted to do a grappling match with Quentin. I think Moriarty come in and he wanted some extra like special rules and stuff, and I was just like, fuck, dude, whatever the rules are, let's just do it. I don't care. I'm not that person. It's a jiu-jitsu match. It's not MMA. I've been fighting for, since I was 15. I've done full contact fighting since I was 15. So a jiu-jitsu match was just like, you're telling me nobody will do a jiu-jitsu match with this guy. All right, well, fuck it. Let's do it. I'll do that. It's a fighter mentality thing. It's like Joe Elmore just stepping in and going, okay, well, Kilgus is out. I'll jump in, So, it's a jiu-jitsu match.
Been fighting since you were 15, formerly as Sean Kilgris, and you just made the transition. Could you just be clear and just state how that transition's been, why you made the transition, and how you would like to be addressed now? Because last week, that I feel like that was a little bit of point of contention on how you would like to be addressed.
I use feminine pronouns, so anybody that knows me says she, her. It's a little awkward to have a deep masculine voice, but that's been a transition for a while. A lot of people were like, "So you're trans?" And I'm like, there's a transition, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, but it's just kind of who I have always been, and I was hiding that side of me, to be part of the NFC community, not the NFC community, but just martial arts, being a fighter, that wasn't exactly the easiest community to be, even, I guess homosexual or whatever has not exactly been the, it's cool to be a lesbian, right? In the MMA community, like women can do that, but it's never very cool for men to be that. So it's not always been the most welcoming area for men to be gay or whatever else. And I was just over it. I was really, and David will, we can go into how things have gone. What led into the Jason Wolf fight, how all these things went down. I contacted David. God, David, what was that? So before Dominic Colangelo fought, was it Jabril, I believe, for the title? No, it was it was before he fought Jabril for the title. I had contacted David and was like, hey man, I'm retiring, I'm out. And, or I said, I got some news, and he was like, well, don't tell me you're retiring. And I was like, well, hey, can we stack up a card?
I'm retiring as a man.
Yeah. And I wasn't coming out. I was not coming out. I was the talk at the time is my wife and I were going to move out to Colorado, and then I would just be this new person and not have to worry about all the dealing with all these people we knew and all of that. And just, we were, that's not why we were moving to Colorado. We were just talking about moving. And, so I hit up David, and he was like, hey, can I stack up this last card? I want to get, a bunch of my people on there. And we had several fighters, even a kids jiu-jitsu match. My top kid was going to go against Christian Davis. And so we had a lot of things planned for that card. And I was going to say, bye to the community and retire from just the whole scene, I guess, and just kind of over it, I was just kind of over it at that time and hiding who I was. Go ahead, David.
How have people taken you since this came out? I know it's been over, a year and a half now, maybe even closer.
Been
2 years. Yeah. I guess everything changes during COVID. Like I personally lose time dates on everything, but how has everyone taken it to you? Has there been any rude? I mean, besides people like Dave Vitke, outside of Dave Vitke, how is everyone else in the community? Because I know he's the biggest jerk, but how has everyone else been? Have you gotten a lot of hate from people?
Dave Vitke, actually, I think he made some comment or something, but Dave Vitke was actually super nice to me at Octopus. He was really cool, and he actually trained with me and stuff when I was trying to get ready for that last fight.
I like to use him as an example because he's the biggest jerk I'm friends with.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had people tell me don't come to train at their gym. Nate Williams said, I don't want you here to train. That's where I was supposed to be training for the Jason Wolf fight. A lot of people don't understand, like, some of the stuff that went down there was, as simple as I didn't have a gym to train with because I had places I thought I was going to go train. And then I scheduled the fight thinking, hey, I'm going to go train here, there, or wherever. And, it took me a while before, Abraham Gray was like, well, just come train with us. And I was like, oh, y'all are cool. He's like, yeah, just come here and train. And Guy and Yimmy and Emmanuel, those guys were helping me get ready for the fight. But it was like cramming. So like we were scheduled to fight in July originally. And we were cramming.
I think he cut his eye. He cut his eye in a fight, I think.
Well, he cut it in training. And, we had some argument about that because they were like, well, I was like, why weren't you using headgear? You don't use headgear for sparring. I'm like, I use headgear for sparring. And Jared Gooden uses headgear for sparring. The first guy that got onto me about using headgear was a long time ago. We were helping Steve Hedden train for a fight. And Jason Mayhem Miller had come into town, and he and I had fought years and years prior to that. And Miller's like, dude, Kilgus, put on a headgear. And I'm like, why? We're going light. He's like, accidents happen and cuts happen, and you don't need scar tissue. You're going to be a pro fighter. You need to protect your cuts and all this stuff. So we could argue that, sentiment of where should you wear a headgear or not all day. But, in the end, it does protect against cuts. But, I was ready for that date. I had crammed to get ready for that because I had just found a training camp. And then in between that, so like after he backed out on that date, I was like suffering bad, man. I was having some rib injuries. I had popped a rib out at some point. Like I pulled some cartilage or something, training with Emmanuel, Osho. And, he knew it when it happened. He was like, whoa, did you just, I was like, yep. And then we were like, I was determined that nothing was going to let the fight stop. And the big reason too on that was I was only approved one fighter. There was only one fighter that could fight me. And a lot of people don't know that. So it wasn't like there was some backup fighter for me to fight. If Jason couldn't fight me, nobody else was available to fight.
And the athletic commission approved the fight. You had an interesting rule waiver. You wanted to fight wearing a sports bra because now your top had become private, when in the past it had not become private. So the athletic commission surprised me. They approved you to wear a sports bra as long as your opponent had the same right or ability to also wear a sports bra. So that would have been the first time I had ever seen that happen.
And it happened in the fight. And then I did fight in Kentucky, so that did happen. But yeah, I mean, so I only had one opponent. And so I was, going through the injury and not able to train. And the last week going into the fight, I was still trying to like cram to get ready for it. And, Guy and, just Guy really, Yimmy, like I said, Yimmy, I can't say Yimmy's last name.
Adewale.
Yeah, I'm not even
close to that.
It. They were looking at me like, dude, and I went and talked to Guy, and I was like, Guy, man, I don't know. What do you think? He's like, you're not ready. You're not ready. And I was like, it was very hard and it was difficult. And so that day I'm heading home. I stopped with my kid. We got some tacos at a Mexican restaurant. I had a margarita, just kind of trying to get that energy down, because like I hadn't, I don't drink. I don't even usually drink. And, just, I don't know, man, if you've ever been a fighter, pulling out of a fight's difficult. It's a lot of energy you've put into that. That people are going to be pissed off. So I was a little stressed out. So I go home. I just had a margarita at the restaurant, and I go home, and I have another drink, and then I did the little video, and then everybody's like, "Oh, you were drinking and making a mockery of the sport," and I was like, look, man, Spencer Fisher, UFC fighter, was watching that. Just so y'all know, UFC guys. I had UFC fighters that I talked to that were helping me find a fight after I pulled out of that one, and Jesse didn't want to have me back. They were like, that was not a mockery of the sport. Whatever they're talking about, you didn't make a mockery of the sport. I had UFC fighters telling me this was no mockery of the sport. Because then I felt even worse. I was like, damn, was it this bad? Like me having a damn drink and making an announcement, like shit, I'm not at the bar beating some old man's ass or, shit like that. You want to talk about mockeries of the sport? There's plenty of mockeries out there,
I think the big thing when it came to just that, man, I think it was the timing of it. It was 3 days before the fight, man. The promo had already been done. You gave us your time at Team Octopus channel. Now we came through, man. We interviewed you. I felt like everybody was very, very excited and looking forward to this match. Now, you said Guy Curry said you weren't ready. Was it just physical not ready, or was it mentally not ready to go into the cage and fight? Because I mean, just with your unique circumstances stepping into the cage, I could see on a personal level like how mentally it'll be tough to get in the cage to fight anybody, no matter what transition I'm going through. But just with the excitement behind the fight, was it like you weren't ready mentally for that fight?
I fought Jared Gooden on a 2-week notice, man. There's no mental thing. No, I was physically messed up. I was having a hard time staying in training. I would come in and train for a week because of the rib injuries that were going on, and then have to sit up for like a week, 2 weeks sometimes. And I was just determined because of, Jason had already pulled out once. I was determined not to let that fight not happen. So even when you guys did the interview and stuff, in my brain, I'm still fighting. I was going to do whatever I could to get into that fight. And I mean, even the night before, even after I had pulled out of it, I think I had messaged David or something. I was like, dude, you don't know how hard I got.
We talked on the phone. I remember talking to you in the QT parking lot. I don't remember everything, but I do remember talking to you in the QT parking lot. I remember where I was when you called me.
Yeah. And it was still hard for me then, even then. And, like to have pulled out of the fight, like, and, it took Guy talking to me really, like, dude, you're just not ready. I was gassed out training that week, just completely gassed because I couldn't train like I was supposed to be training for almost over a month. I had just got really into physical shape, like cardiovascular wise, turned around right back injured, not right back injured, but turned around injured and couldn't train. And then I had like a week and a half, maybe I was trying to cram to get back. I thought that I would turn around and like bounce back with like a good 2 weeks of training. I would be like right back where I had left off before I got injured. And it just wasn't happening. I mean, I am older. You know, when I was a kid, man, I would just fight guys on 2 weeks notice and stuff and no training, you know, and just do it. And that was a thing. But, you know, I'm older now, you know, maybe that's part of it. You know, I'm turning 40 next month, guys. So, you know I don't look like it, but, you know, I'm an old fighter, you know, that's a long time, you know, 20 plus years of fighting. And, you know, everything was different. I was doing different weight classes, cutting different weight. Everything was a lot different than anything I had ever done before. So
while we're chatting about your birthday and whatnot, I told you Clay wanted to come in to ask you some fun questions. So I'm going to bring him in a second. But my birthday is coming up this week. When is your birthday, and what are we doing for your birthday? And am I invited?
No, I mean, I'm in South Carolina now, man.
Oh, I didn't even know you were moved out of Georgia.
Yeah, I moved home. I'm back in South Carolina. There's no reason for me to be in Georgia anymore, you know. So maybe I might move back. There's some things going on. Like my kid, just it's not the same setting for my kid, you know, because if you know my kid, he's special needs. Mm-hmm. And I just can't replace the services he was getting. So I'm having a really difficult time replacing the services. So I may end up back in Atlanta just for that reason. But I wanted to come home and get closer to family. I lived in Atlanta for 20 years. You know, I started fighting out of South Carolina, moved to Georgia to train with Steve Hedden and Knuckle. You know, it was LA Boxing back in the day. I'm sure you remember those times, but you know, most people don't even know that Knuckle Up used to be LA Boxing and all that stuff. And I mean, you know, so I lived in Atlanta and was away from family for 20 years. So yeah, I decided to come back here, try to make a go of it here.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on NFC Now. That is Lady Bree. We also have Cat Daddy Clay Bennett on the line as well. David, before we get to Clay, I just want to know, what were your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts when you were in the QT parking lot and Lady Bree pulled out of that fight?
Again, if anyone knows me, I've got the worst memory in the world. But I do remember him calling me. I was in the QT at Vinings. I remember talking to him. I said, "Are you 100% you want to pull out? Because this is going to be the biggest pullout we've ever had." I found it sound funny saying that.
Yeah, I was about to say pause. The biggest pullout.
Maybe Lady Bree has had some pullouts that are more remarkable, but I remember saying, this is going to be the worst pullout we've ever had. Are you 100% sure you want to do it? Because I don't want to drop this bomb on Jason Wolf unless you are 100%. You know, do you want to wait till tomorrow to think about this? And Lady Bree told me, no, he had already talked to the people he had talked to, and his rib was definitely messed up. And this was 100% he was pulling out. So I just wanted to make sure he was aware of the decision he was going to make, and he wasn't going to call me in 24 hours.
Thank you, Julian. I was about to drive down to Georgia and fix that situation. So
well, drive down on your birthday so we can celebrate. But I remember saying, is this the situation you want to do? And I just want to make sure you were 100% comfortable with it before I'd call Jason Wolf and let him know.
Now, David, yeah. We've talked here on this podcast at length about the effects of a fighter dropping out of a fight, especially a big market fight, something that you've promoted, and the effects not only it has on the fighters, the fighter that was supposed to fight, that was scheduled to fight, but also the fans. Now, just from that aspect, man, what were your emotions?
It not only sucked for us putting a lot into it. It was right. I think it was about the same time we hired you and Jen Lee. It might have been y'all's second video, maybe third. So it kind of sucked that you all put the effort into it. I talked to Rich Stein, the owner of District, quite a bit about it to make sure he was on board and there are no issues with District and their feelings about these kind of issues. The bartenders, they were extremely excited about it. Like every time I went into the do business there, the bartenders were like, when is Lady Bree fighting? When is Lady Bree fighting? So it was kind of odd when I had to tell the bartenders. Even the ring car girls were excited about it. So it was a fight that a lot of people were interested in. And then Jason Wolf is about the nicest damn guy you'll ever meet. So it was difficult telling Jason was off. We didn't have time to find a replacement for Jason. So he was disappointed. He never said a single thing negative. I think his wife, for the first time ever, made a comment or two. But yeah, it's just disappointing when that happens. Just like we just talked to Jesse, after that, if Lady Bree does decide to come back, can we get a fight for her or not? she'd have to make it serious and prove to someone that she is ready to do this. But it sounds like Lady Bree has moved on to semi-pro football at this point in time, so she's done with MMA.
Let me ask you this, David. All right, now let's get real. Where did the idea of me fighting come from? What did you say to me? Let's be real. Let's see how big your balls are. All right.
Ooh.
Let's
Pull 'em
be
out,
real.
David.
Where did the idea of me fighting? What happened? What did you tell me when we talked about me leaving the community? What was your words to me that to rile me up, to make me want to stay? Go ahead.
To be 100% honest, I don't recall. I don't remember. But you can tell me and I won't deny it, but I don't remember the conversation.
I told you I was going to retire and leave the community. You
Did I
said
pep you into one more fight?
You said, no, you said, don't tell me you're leaving and you're going to let Junior or Sun Sal succeed in coming and win. What did you say about Junior or Sun Sal? You can't fucking stand Junior, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Uh-huh.
You knew I had issues with him. And you brought that into play. And Dominic Colangelo asked me to not leave and just be myself. And then Dominic fucking disappeared. Didn't fucking come back to the gym after his fight. Went and joined another fucking gym. So here's the reality. Fighting Jason Wolf, I didn't really have too many personal issues with Jason Wolf. He had kind of dodged me a couple of times. Jesse offered him the fight a couple of times in the past when I was still trying to make like my last run. Right after I'd fought Jared, I wanted to stay active. And wasn't a lot of names that Jesse was coming up with. You know, Jason Wolf was one of them. Warren Smith was the other one. Ended up fighting Warren at one point. So Jason,
which part do I have to say how big my balls were? I'm just curious. Was it just the fact that I don't like Junior?
Yeah, I mean, you were
okay. I don't like Junior.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Hey, you know what? There you go. You know, but hey, if I say something about Junior, people come back and tell me how he's such a fucking great guy. You know, oh, he's such a classy dude and this and that. You know, like okay, but
Junior, if you're listening, I like you.
Yeah, well,
I really don't like you, but I don't think you like me. So that is what it is.
But you know, I mean,
Cat Daddy, what questions did you have?
Lady Bree, how have you been?
What's up, Clay?
It's been a while. Last time I talked to you, I think you were showing. Or in person. We hung out at District a little while.
I don't think so because Dominic was fighting that night, and you might not have been there that night. No.
The last time, because we were doing the COVID test, and you come sit at the table, and you'd actually talked to me a little bit about some stuff that's going on in your personal life. Didn't mention anything like this. But anyways.
Hold on 1 second.
Cat Daddy was probably shit-faced at that time. That was probably
Cat Daddy at that night.
All right, I got you, baby. I got you.
Are you talking to me?
No, my kid.
Oh. Well, anyways, if I slip and call you Sean or he, I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Bad habits. And if I ask you anything that you think is too personal, we'll just do like Family Feud and say pass. Well, we'll start off with something easy. What is your lineage? And I'm going to keep it more jiu-jitsu related since they've kind of covered all the MMA stuff. What is your lineage in jiu-jitsu?
Shit, man. I'm like the mutt of jiu-jitsu, man. So
I am too.
So I started in South Carolina with a guy named Bill McCumbee. Really, I started in karate. So when I was 5, we did karate. One of our black belts when he was in the military was he was living in Florida area. That's where he was stationed or whatever. And they had a Hickson Gracie school down there. So he had gotten his purple under Hickson. Comes home, introduces us to jiu-jitsu and UFC. Hoist Gracie, this fucking guy, you know, like beating all these guys, these big wrestlers and the Ken Shamrocks and the Dan Severns and all this stuff. And, you know, so I went and I did my first Hoist Gracie seminar. I was like 12. So, yeah. So that's, you know, I was learning jiu-jitsu from, you know, and no offense if Bill's listening, of course, you know, I was learning jiu-jitsu from somebody who knew jiu-jitsu, but probably wasn't qualified to teach it at that high of a level. You know what I mean? Like, you've trained, Clay. I mean, you know what it's like to learn from a underbelt versus learning from a black belt. So, but I was fighting. A lot of people thought I was really good at jiu-jitsu because, I was beating guys in MMA. I was 15, 16, 17. I'm beating grown men. And so they're, oh, well, you're really technical at jiu-jitsu. And hell, at that age, I probably thought I was because, if somebody's telling you that, then you probably think you are, right? But the reality is, I was in a small town. If anybody knows a guy named Ash Bowman, he was a WEC veteran. We both had aspirations to join the Lions Den. And, so we both needed to venture out was the big thing. Steve Hedden had invited me to come to Georgia. I had a couple of invitations from a couple of places to come and train with them. And I chose, training with Steve Hedden at the time. And so I trained under Steve for a while. Ended up working at Knuckle Up at a certain point in time. And then basically, Knuckle Up, they had different instructors all the times. Kazeka Munez really was, man, my time with Kazeka changed my jiu-jitsu like 100%. And a lot of people don't like the guy, but Kazeka Munez changed my jiu-jitsu 1,000-fold.
I'm going to be an asshole. You got to make your answers a little quicker.
Trying, man.
God, you're telling us what you did when you were 4 years old.
This is the jiu-jitsu mutt, man. You asked me the lineage, I'm getting to it, so from Kazeka. So I ended up getting my black belt from Kazeka.
When did you get with JUCO? I was under the impression, I don't know why. I guess I just assumed. Well, I assumed you got your black belt from JUCO. Is that not true? When did you train under him?
I didn't really train with JUCO a lot. Ours was a little bit more business arrangement. It wasn't supposed to be. I was trying to find a gym to train with and get back into fighting. And actually, it was Kazeka, man. Kazeka told me to go train with JUCO. He said, go train with JUCO, man. I was like, Kazeka was never in town, and he told me go train with JUCO. JUCO apparently had some issues with Kazeka, and so he said, well, if you're going to train with me, you got to be under my banner. So I was like, shit, So I call Kazeka. I'm like, I don't know what to do, Professor. You said go train with him. And he's telling me I can't train with you or be with you. So I made a jump over to being under JUCO's association, really. And I trained with him some, it's not like, I can't say I trained with JUCO a lot, but I trained with him when I could. I was running the gym and coming, it was hard to get down there. So.
All right. So I had it under that he was your coach and everything. So that was my bad on assuming that. But no, JUCO is, I still remember this day, one of the first Ludador tournaments I ever did. They had an absolute division in Nogi, and that was probably, as far as local people, that was one of the most stacked tournaments, and he run through everybody. I remember, just to put in perspective, Tex Johnson lost in the first round of that tournament. Granted, it was a while back before he had really took off, but he was still beating a lot of good people back then. He lost in the first round, but JUCO just run through everybody. So
yeah, JUCO. I mean, JUCO's a beast.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, no doubt. JUCO is. Look, we had some business fallout. Really, is what it came down to. But you'll never hear me say anything bad about the guy as a coach, man. He's an amazing coach. Like,
what would you say bad about him?
I mean,
the podcast. Let's get the viewers going.
I don't really have anything bad to say about JUCO. Like I said, we had a business fallout. It was just kind of came down to business stuff. And
if I did say something bad about JUCO, or I think something bad, I wouldn't say it because that guy, like I say, he's on my list of people not to mess with.
I mean, we almost got in a fight one time over it was just me and him in the gym. I mean, shit, I'm not afraid of anybody. I looked JUCO in the eyes and I told him, like, look, Professor, you might beat my ass, but I'm not backing down. Like if we got to fight, then we got to fight. But I mean, it was just me and him in the gym. So if he would have whooped my ass, there would have been nobody to pull him off of me. What was that?
What were you going to fight him about?
I had driven down to Atlanta just to have a damn business meeting with him. And then we got down there and he wanted to be like, nah, not tonight. I'm like, look, Professor, I came all the way down here to do a business meeting with you. And now you're saying, no, we've got to talk tonight. You're holding up stuff I'm doing on my business.
Yeah.
So at the time we were, there was some discussion about me being American Top Team or something like that, and I don't know if that's what that one was about, but yeah. So.
All right. Well, I know that we're behind schedule, so I'll get to some more questions, and we'll try to make it LGBTQ related. You
can bring me back on some other time.
There we go.
Apparently, Megan Hill doesn't like it. Megan Hill says I'm driving off the audience. So
I boo you for. Anyways, I don't even know who Megan Hill is. Sorry. So, what are your thoughts on? So you said you're done competing, right?
Yeah, man. I don't know, dude. I've been in pain. A lot of people don't realize I've been going through back issues my whole life. So I'm tired.
What are your thoughts on women competing against each other in sports?
Women competing against each other in sports?
No, we've had some. I mean, it's been a big hot topic of there's a trans man who won, I think, some kind of Ivy League championship in swimming, and
and I know the Georgia Athletic Commission is looking to get proactive and possibly discuss. Could a man fight against a woman? That's on their agenda potentially in the next couple months because of what we've seen going on. So I will say that men, as you know, think they can be associated as women, and a man might want to fight a woman in the future. I don't know if that's your question, Clay, or not, but that has come up with the Athletic Commission a little bit. If a man transitioned to a female, could that person compete against a female in MMA?
Here's my perspective, and I took some heat from the trans community on this. They did not like, not all of them, but I definitely took some heat from the trans community. And hell, I'm not the expert on that stuff, what the hormones do to the body and all that, because I don't do that, and I don't know a lot, as far as all that stuff goes. But what I said and what I will continue to say is, first and foremost, let's use the terms here. There's a cisgender woman now and a transgender woman, right? So if a cisgender woman decides that she's okay with it, fine. If that's her choice. But in a case where, okay, let's say a transgender woman has hasn't identified or said out loud, yeah, I am transgender, and nobody realizes that's a transgender person, and they just kind of go and fight a woman, and the woman had no choice or no option in the matter, I don't approve of that. I don't approve of, let's use the UFC, and they decide they want to let transgender women fight, and all the women in the division must decide, well, we're either going to fight this transgender person or they're not going to have us fight. Well, that's not fair. Why is that fair to these women? We don't know enough about disadvantage or advantage of trans versus a cisgender woman at this point in time. We're not going to know enough until there's enough of those matches that say, hey, this doesn't look fair. This just doesn't look fair. Or enough women have competed against a transgender woman that come in and go, look, I've never competed against somebody that strong ever. I have never been manhandled, basically, like I was in training, against that person. We're not going to know that until enough of those matches happen. So if a woman wants to fight a transgender woman and she's okay with it, and she knows that knowingly up front, fine. I'm not going to say that any commission should get in the way of that fight, but nobody should be forced. Like, a woman should never feel like they're forced by an organization to fight a transgender woman.
Would you ever fight a woman?
No.
Why not?
I don't even. Is there a weight class that I could fight in to fight a woman, dude? I mean, hell, I struggled.
You ain't that big. How much you weigh in these days?
I mean, I struggled to cut to 170, man.
Believe it or not,
I say that. I was going to fight at 155. I was going to fight at 155. So actually, my cut to 170 was not a struggle the last time. I've gotten much better after I started intermittent fasting and stuff. I got much better at weight cutting. So, but yeah.
You're done with the gym business. You said you're just doing gaming. I know you'd mentioned and sent me a picture from OnlyFans that you were going to put up. How'd that go?
That's still out there. I still get requests, man. You'd be surprised at some of the fight community that still jumps in my inbox from time.
You want to out anybody?
No, I don't do that.
Nate Mann?
Yeah.
Admit Nate Mann got in your inbox.
Okay, it's definitely Nate Mann.
Okay,
definitely
that's all I want to know.
So yeah, definitely. But no,
all right, I know we're running
out
low on time, and I'll wrap it up. Was there anybody jiu-jitsu wise? I won't speak on MMA since they got me here. Was there any jiu-jitsu matches you'd have liked to have had before you went into retirement? Or you?
I mean, I always wanted to go against Quentin again, having an actual camp to train with and stuff. Quentin and I ended up being friends later, so we did some training over at Moore's Fitness and stuff. So we ended up being pretty cool later. So that, I don't know, man. I don't really doing a jiu-jitsu match after I started fighting never really got that rise out of me to be like, yeah, I want to go compete against so-and-so, so that was never, it was just never the same after fighting. I don't
So will
know.
you versus Junior ever happen, or is that done?
Junior will not fight me.
Would
Even
you
in
fight
jiu-jitsu?
Junior?
I think jiu-jitsu would he take a jiu-jitsu match with you?
I don't want to do a jiu-jitsu match with Junior.
Why not?
But would I? Sure. But
So, how long would it take you to think to get ready for this potential jiu-jitsu match?
Dude, I live out in the middle of nowhere, with nobody to train with. So it would take me finding a place I could go train. It'd take a while. And,
Wow.
I mean, but yeah, but I'm over it, man. I'll be honest with you. See, that's that shit y'all are like enticing something that's just like, I just don't care anymore. I kind of let that go. I've let it all go. But that's exactly, I mean, what I ended up finding out about me as a fighter was if there's nothing personal attached to it, I don't care. I don't have that, like, I fight better angry. I fight better with something that's like driving me, like angry fuel. I'm not a professional fighter. I'm a fighter, like in the sense of you start some shit with me, we're fighting. But I don't have that professional sense of fighting where it's like I want to go be that. You know what I mean? Who's this Megan Hill chick? Was
She
like
trains
Junior?
she trains under Junior's gym.
Oh, of course.
What's Megan saying?
Of course she.
Megan has basically said Sean won't. God, I didn't say that on purpose.
Who's
Lady
Sean?
Bree
Right.
will not
It's
stop
all right,
talking
David.
Never
about
heard of the
it.
guy.
David.
And Lady
Sorry.
Bree lives in the past. So
Yeah, that's great, Lady Bree. I mean, this was questions about my jiu-jitsu lineage. This is the trolls I get from their gym, and they wonder why shit's personal, right? Because it started with Junior. You want to know some dumb shit? You want to know where stuff started with me and Junior?
We want to hear
friends.
all the dirt. Pour
We
the
were
tea, baby.
friends, and the motherfucker tried to get my girlfriend to go in the bathroom with him at one of Tony Metcalf's was it Cowboys fights when they were doing fights at Cowboys? Remember when Tony Metcalf used to run fights at Cowboys?
I
were
fought
both
on one of those cards.
Yeah, we were both. That's right, you did. And we were both front row, sitting down with our girls. And my girl tells me after the fight, well, Junior tried to get me to go to the bathroom with him. And I was like, why didn't you fucking tell me then? She was like, because you would have fought. So, and it's been a little shit it's been a lot of shit. He's told a lot of lies about me. Tell people he kicked my ass all the time. Just all the time. And listen, we had a jiu-jitsu match once upon a time in a strip club, and it went to a draw. We trained after I hadn't trained for a while. I came in and I trained. It was my first time training after leaving the Lions Den. I'd been out for a year. And man, honestly, Junior got the better end of me that day in training. But that's it. We literally rolled twice, and he goes around and tells everybody, man, I kick Kilgus's ass all the time, man. All the time. Beat him up all the time. I'm like, bro, this is like a fabrication in your brain. This never happened, so you have.
So if you and Kilgus would have went in your prime and his prime, who wins? I mean, I'm sorry. If you and Junior would have went in your prime and his prime, who wins?
I would have fucking destroyed Junior. I would have destroyed Junior.
Really? The guy was like in contention for the WC title. You think you'd have whooped his ass?
You said in my prime. You asked me in my
Your
prime.
Yeah. Your prime.
Okay. In
I
my
know sometimes
prime,
it's tough to say with people because they don't always match up in age and everything.
we were pretty close in age. So, in
So
my
in your
prime,
you
my
beat
prime,
Junior.
before I started running a gym and became a gym owner and all that, and yeah, dude, yes, absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So we do got to cut it short here at some point because I see Austin Green waiting for us after his fight in Texas last night. Lady Bree, I'll mention Julian's line. Do you have anything to leave the fans with before I let you go? And I think we will try to get you on again in the future because I think we still have something left with you that you will fight jiu-jitsu one day. But anything you want to say before we let you go?
Nah, man, I appreciate you having me on, David. Really just kind of clearing the air about the Jason Wolf thing, and just how a lot of the things went down, man, I hated pulling out of the fight. I did go and fight afterwards because a lot of people were like, you're just playing. You don't really want to fight. And I did go and fight. I went to Kentucky and fought. It wasn't it took, actually, I will tell you, I didn't want to fight after that fight. I realized, without something personal on the line, I don't care about fighting. And, so it was a changing event and a lot of stuff changed. And, sorry to anybody who was disappointed. Nobody was more disappointed than me to not get to fight Jason Wolf. I promise you that.
Well, I think we all appreciate your time tonight, and we all wish you the best of luck. And hopefully you do hit me up if you come back to Atlanta. I wouldn't mind doing lunch with you. I always liked you for the last 20 years. So.
We've always been pretty good friends, David. So I've not, over the years, I've never had really much to say about you. You've had detractors over the years and David's cheap or this and that. And I've always been to your defense because I'm like, what are y'all talking about, man? David's a good guy. You've taken care of a lot of people. If anybody thinks that there's a problem fighting at the NFC or cheap or poorly run, go fight in Kentucky. Go fight in Kentucky. All right. Ask Nick Sprayberry about that one and Ashley Sprayberry about that one. Go fight in Kentucky. Then you'll know the difference.
They have told me the horror stories. So we appreciate it. Go take care of your kid tonight, and we will have you on again in the future.
Later, guys.
I've never seen you be so quiet. I think we even got 3 comments about how quiet you were.
It was just a lot going on. And so, there was a lot of talking, and I just didn't have a chance to get in there. One thing that just immediately just popped off to me was Lady Bree mentioned how for years she felt like she couldn't be herself at the gyms. I wanted to expand more on that, but then we had Clay come on. It just wasn't my time to speak, man. So I was just more or less just observing the interactions between all 3 of y'all, man. And, just interesting character nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, I've seen Austin waiting patiently. I know he was in Texas last night, beating the dog shit out of a guy on UFC Fight Pass. So let's get him in. And before we start talking, Austin, I'm going to show a quick clip from your fight last night.
I think he's found a spot here late in the fight, Alex. I think he's found that those leg kicks are extremely effective for him. And like you said, I would be surprised if he doesn't come out only protecting his face and throwing those leg kicks every chance he gets.
Those were tough. I'm curious to see how Mario.
So you fought on a Sunday night on UFC Fight Pass. It's now Monday. How do you feel?
I feel good. Feels good. Feels good to be home. And then my leg's a little banged up, but other than that, feels good. Just really got back in probably a couple hours ago.
Definitely don't look like you've been in a fight, man. You look like your first day of school fresh, man. Not a mark on your face, man.
Oh, it's there. We got a little.
If you got to zoom in that close for me to see it after a day after you got in the fight, man, you look great, brother. It's good to see you, NFC's heavyweight champ Austin Green, joining us here on NFC Now, episode 14. Man, we had you on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about you, doing some professional wrestling. How did this fight come about?
Well, I was originally scheduled to fight a guy named Ricardo Evangelista. I'm pretty sure a couple of y'all have heard of him. He's high-level jiu-jitsu black belt. But I guess he pulled out maybe a couple, 4 or 5 weeks ago, because I guess he was doing the grappling competition on Fight Pass this weekend as well. So he pulled out, and then they offered Mario. and I've never wanted to turn down a fight. So I was like, yeah, let's do it.
The opportunity for you to fight on UFC Fight Pass, man, what'd that mean to you?
That meant a lot. Like, it shows my elevation. It shows the growth, and just being able to fight like in front of that larger audience, like in the eyes of the UFC matchmakers and stuff. It was dope.
Walking into that, was there any extra like, emotion and anxiety, just knowing that like, okay, this is a little bigger of a platform than I have fought on before, man? What'd that look like? What'd that feel like to you?
It was a little pressure, just because like for some, I think I was told like one of the UFC matchmakers was actually in attendance. So I was like, man, y'all should have just waited till after the fight to tell me that, because it was a little pressure. But then once my music hit and I started walking to the cage, like it was just like another day in the office to me.
So I think that's Mick Maynard's hometown, who's the UFC matchmaker. I'm assuming it was him that was there. And did you get to talk to him at all?
I don't think I got to talk to him. I don't even think I saw him. Like, because I showed up. Like, we literally showed up. 5 minutes later, I'm getting my hands wrapped. I'm getting warmed up, and I'm walking to the cage like almost an hour after being there. And then after the fight, like, just got my check, and then we left. Like, it was an in-out deal.
I don't follow pro wrestling at all, which I think is a good thing that I don't follow pro wrestling, but I know you're pretty damn good at it. When you've competed for AEW and pro wrestling, have you competed with those televised when you've gone for them?
Yes. So all those are like on the AEW Dark, like it's like dark matches, but they're still like they're displayed on YouTube. They're in front of a live audience. So like my match with Big Show was actually in his hometown, and it was maybe 15,000 people in attendance for that match.
Who are you managed by, Austin?
Jason House and Iridium.
Jason House and Iridium, and he's presenting these opportunities to you, man. So there's obviously a benefit to you, and this is like a mutual relationship that y'all are working with.
Yeah,
beautiful. David, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you're basically the only person competing on that big of a show in pro wrestling and pro MMA fighting, for probably any two sports. I mean, I think the only one I've seen lately is Deion Sanders, and that's baseball and football. You're pro wrestling and MMA on two of the biggest stages in the world, especially if you do get the UFC.
Yeah, that's the plan. That is the plan. Like, I want to use the UFC platform to either get more matches in AEW or even use the AEW mat or platform to kind of boost myself up for like a big fight promotion.
And now that you can, I'm sorry. Now that you continue to like build up these W's, man, and like you're working with different promotions all over the country. Do you feel like that big breakthrough, that big call is really on the way?
I feel it could happen any day. Like, it's especially with heavyweights, because they're always looking for heavyweights to fight or even a last minute replacement. Like, I just feel any day it could come. And so that's why I'm always just trying to keep training and keep my body ready, because it could come tomorrow, it could come 2 days from now, 2 weeks. Who knows?
So with that question Julian just asked, you're the biggest heavyweight I've ever met. The limit's 265. I think you walk at 290 or 295, give or take. So you're losing about 30 pounds fight week, which is unbelievable for a heavyweight to lose that much. But if you do get that last minute call to UFC, can you even take something like that? I mean, can you lose 30 pounds on last minute?
I mean, I can. It's probably gonna suck severely. Like, not gonna be fun. But I mean, I can do it. Which right now, since because my last cut, I cut from 290 for this last fight, and it wasn't bad, but it's still rough, and it's something I don't want to continue to do every time. So right now, I'm just kind of focusing now, just continue to lose weight, maybe drop another 15, 20 more pounds, just get to a walking around weight where I'm like walking around maybe 275, 280. So that way, like a 15-pound cut I can do that in like 2 days.
Now that, you did say this could happen at any time, man. You could get that phone call, man. How has it changed like your everyday life? Are you still bodyguarding? I see you got the shirt on, man. Are you still working your everyday, or is this kind of changed the way that you're moving?
I'm still doing my security, like my bodyguard work. Whenever I get a call for that, because that's what pays the bills right now. So I still do that, But for the most part, like my daily life is just waking up, working out, training, and just training. And then when I do got to work, I work. when I'm not working, I'm just training and watching film, just trying to get better each time.
Now, the comparison between shows, man. I know some shows they're broadcast on UFC Fight Pass, man. So the production is one point, but then like the crowd might be a different thing, man. What did you see like actually inside the arena this time around?
It was a lot quieter. Like it wasn't as loud of a crowd as my last fight. Like when we fought at the Monday Night Brewing, it was loud. Like it was because it was my hometown. I had a lot of fans. But this, like, we fought at some venue in Houston. I mean, it was like the crowd they were there and they were into it, but it was a lot quiet. Like it wasn't as loud as what I'm used to.
That might also be it was a Sunday night. People don't get as drunk on Sundays as on Friday or Saturdays, obviously.
Oh, they were drunk in there for sure.
Were they?
They were getting drunk.
You're now. What's your record as a professional?
5-0.
5-0. You're 5-0 as a professional, man. Are you like hinging all your pride and ego on that O, or do you kind of feel like I need to be tested in a different way in order to like really take that next step in my career?
Well, I mean, this fight it was a lot of pressure on me just because like a lot of people are telling me, when you get to 5-0, when you get 5-0, that's when the UFC is really gonna start calling like 5-0, 5-0. I kept hearing 5-0, 5-0, so I was like. It was a lot of pressure going in this fight. Like, dang, I can't mess around and lose and then be 4-1, or like I can't mess around and lose and then all my hard work that I've done to get to 4-0 just go down the drain. So it was a lot of pressure on me just to kind of like keep my record perfect. But now, like I'm at 5-0, like I know that at any point, like I could get a phone call. So now it's just taking smart fights. Like not like I do want to be tested. And I have been tested, but it's not like I'm not like trying to take anything risky to where it could mess up my chances of getting that call.
Absolutely. Do you have any other promotions that you do plan on fighting with? Or any possible prospects that you're talking with your manager about?
Right now, I'm locked into a contract with Fury. It's like a long contract or four fights. So unless the UFC calls, if the UFC calls, then I'm able to break that contract and go fight for them. But other than that, like right now, my next 3 fights will probably be with Fury.
So you're essentially fighting seasonally. We'll see you once every 3-4 months.
Yeah, possibly. Or sooner.
That's exciting, man. Look, the entire NFC community is rooting for you and is behind you, man. We would love to see you represented. And we're happy that you're getting these opportunities to showcase your skills on different levels and different platforms, such as UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah, I love it. It was a dope experience for sure.
David, on behalf of you and the podcast, I gotta shout out Austin, man, for coming to us in a well-lit area right now, not the car interview. Shout out to you, my man. I see we on the up and up and up and up. Yeah. Austin, before we part ways today, man, we do want your final thoughts, man. What you want to leave us in the NFC community with?
Just stay tuned because, I'm still working. I'm still training every day. I'm letting my foot and leg heal up right now because it's a little banged up from all the leg kicks I threw in that fight. But probably about a week, I'll be back in the gym working hard and hopefully got some fight news coming soon.
The bad news is soon you might be the former NFC heavyweight champion. Because if you are going to be locked down for a year or two and hopefully in the UFC after that, might have to, if you can't defend the title, we might be able to look at 2 guys in the – I'm not stripping you just yet because maybe we will get a fight opportunity. But
hey, it's all good. No matter what, I can still come back and get that belt back.
Yeah, and I always say to fighters left and right, we're glad you're moving on to bigger paydays and bigger fights and UFC Fight Pass that in front of Mick Maynard, the matchmaker, hopefully does catapult you in this UFC. So I actually shared with Forrest Griffin, I've been talking with him, I shared with him this morning, a PDF of all the NFC fighters that have made it to UFC, One Championship, Bellator, or PFL. And I think we had 72 guys on that list. So hopefully if you make it to one of the foes, we'll be able to add one more to that list pretty soon.
Yes, sir. That's the plan. That is the plan.
It's not if, it's when. Austin Green, we appreciate you for joining us, man, and the entire NFC community is rooting for you. As I like to say, we support a hustler. Until the next time, Austin, we'll catch you.
I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to NFC Now, episode 14. I'm Julian Virgin. That's right there is David Oblas. Obleasy is what I like to call him on my off days. But that's David Oblas, NFC CEO. Austin Green just got through talking with us. We appreciate Austin for joining us here, coming off his big victory to remain undefeated, 5-0. He should be getting that call anytime soon. I hope he does keep his weight down. So, if something does come up on a short notice, one of those prelim fights that we see on UFC each and every week, man, he could, be ready and willing to take that fight, man. I definitely see the potential.
Yeah, we didn't even talk to him about the awards banquet and him versus Cam Graham for submission of the year and fight of the year. Totally had my sheet of paper. That was my next question, but we are running behind schedule, so I'm
running
man go.
super behind. That's I try to keep that succinct, but yeah, we're definitely running a little bit behind, man.
I see Corey Jackson there. I see Faye waiting. Can't see her face yet, but we got Corey Jackson first. So we don't need to see her, but yeah.
Voila, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome Corey Maximus, All Action Jackson, to the NFC podcast. Man, your hair is looking long and strong, my brother.
Yeah, it be like that, man. Y'all don't get to see it because I be fighting, so I always got it tied up.
How long you been growing it, man?
Man, maybe 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, about 10 years.
After these 10 years, man, what does your hair mean to you, brother?
My hair mean a lot, man. Like, it's, what I'm saying? It's part of who I am. It's a lot of history behind my hair. The longer it get, the more I know I evolved. My fault. I'm trying to set this camera for y'all so I can get this, but never mind. It's all good. But the more it just let me know how much I evolved. You know what I'm saying?
It represents the journey.
Yeah, as I go back and look at my pictures and see how short my hair was, I know what kind of mindset I was in around those times. So it's like, oh, I'm glad I'm not in that mind state no more.
Man, where would you say your mind is right now?
Man, just peaceful, trying to be successful, and you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be a little bit more aggressive as far as everything I do. You know what I'm saying? Hustling, money, fighting, everything I do. Just trying to be a little bit more aggressive.
Indeed, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Corey All Action Jackson joining us here on our NFC Now. We were going back and forth on IG yesterday, man. I asked you what you were grateful for. You commented back and said these hands. You said you were a little bit banged up, man. What injury are you dealing with right now?
I got a little hernia situation going on from I don't know where it came from, honestly. You know what I'm saying? But I'm finna get it dealt with. So you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to go through recovery and things of that nature. But I'm hoping to be back in action the end of first quarter.
Last time you fought was in the PFL, correct?
Yeah.
New York City?
Yeah, Madison Square Garden, baby.
MSG, man. You got that stamp on you, man. How's that feel?
Oh, it was a blast, man. The whole situation was a blast, man, from going in, from getting there to how the PFL treated me when I got there. You know what I'm saying? They treat their fighters real good. I didn't fight for PFL. I didn't fight for Bellator as well. So, you know what I'm saying? The treatment was A1. They treated me like a superstar, you know what I'm saying? Even though I was doing the Challenger Series and things of that nature. It was just a great experience, man. Being in Madison Square Garden is epic. The whole Times Square, just the whole week, fight week was crazy.
From my perspective, it looked like that meant a lot to you, man. Like just having that opportunity, man, and just even, just having that opportunity to be recognized, to be seen, as some people like to say, man. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely dope. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the pinnacles of my career as far as the experience and everything I got from it. The fight didn't materialize. I thought it was going to materialize. You know what I'm saying? As far as I thought it was going to be like a real gritty fight, and it wasn't. But you don't get it your way all the time.
For sure. Dave?
I'm offended you didn't say NFC was the pinnacle of your career.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Top five?
Hold on, Dave. You know what I'm saying? Don't.
There we go. There we go.
I don't want nobody to forget. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard you talking, Julian, about the robbery. Let me get that. You know
I was going to ask you your thoughts about that.
I heard y'all talk about the robbery, man. Like, come on, man. Like,
hey, you heard my disclaimer in there too.
Yeah, I understand.
You heard my disclaimer. I keep it down the center, brother.
I did. But seriously, man, and you know what I'm saying? All due respect to Devontae, you know what I'm saying? I got respect for him in that situation. But come on, man. You go back and watch that fight today. You go back and watch that fight today and tell me you can give him 2 rounds 3 rounds. Like, nah, I got a whole highlight reel on that man on that fight.
Do you give him
With all
the
due
third?
respect, huh?
Do you give him the third round?
If any round was given to him, it could be the third. But even in the third, I pressed that fight. I was moving forward that fight. I wasn't bagging up. I wasn't cutting corners. I was in the middle. Let's do it.
Hey,
I know there's also talk about you defending the title versus Mike Wilson in the future if the PFL does not work out. Is that a fight that you would be interested in or no?
I wouldn't mind that fight. The thing about that fight is I would have to sit down with Cal and Douglas Usher, because I know he's Douglas Usher fighter. I've trained with Mike before, just one time, you know what I'm saying? And American Top Team, man, we roll a little bit different than, you know what I'm saying, everybody else, you know what I'm saying? They take it like they fight whoever is, you know what I'm saying? We don't really like to be fighting people that we connected with and that we work with and corner against, you know what I'm saying? I've been offered a fight against Nate Williams, which is the guy that I train with and rock with, you know what I'm saying? So we don't really we don't fight with people that we train, you know what I'm saying? We share too much knowledge and it's a real like family over there. So we train real close with Douglas Usher, you know what I'm saying? So we would have to sit down and actually talk about that, you know what I'm saying, and see how everybody feel about it.
And that's only if your PFL doesn't come back. If PFL comes back, obviously that's where the limelight should be.
Yeah, we my management is talking about that, trying to negotiate something now. So we'll see how that works. But you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't mind coming back to the NFC, man, not the main event, you know what I'm saying, turning up. You know what I'm saying? Because look, man, on some real deal spill, man, I be feeling like it's a whole lot of politics to go in to the NFC and the NFC community, man. It's a whole lot of fight politics. I get treated like an outsider.
Speak on it.
So I get treated like an outsider when I take my fights. If you watch my fights, you watch the fight with Brandon Webb, all due respect to Brandon Webb. You watch the fight with Devontae. The rounds that I'm actually winning and letting off shots, the commentators are not talking about me. Because most of the time, the commentators are somebody to train. When Brandon fought, it was somebody to train with Brandon and work with Brandon. And then when I fought with Devontae, it was somebody that trained or fought Devontae. And nobody knows my story. So it's a lot of them talking about the other fighter while I'm actually winning the fight.
I see that. Our commentators the last few years have been Jim Shepard from SBG, Zach Cooper that used to be at SBG Athens. He's now SBG Buford. And then Lawson McClure that is at SBG Athens. So those 3 guys are the main ones. And they also work very closely with Chuck Cawthorn's Hartwell gym, where Brandon Webb was out of, where CJ Hamilton is out of. So it's probably just them not knowing you all that well in the past. Sometimes they come to weigh-ins and try to get some bio on the guys. Jim Shepard does that. But I mean, shit, they all defend them. They all have full-time jobs. There's 30 guys fighting in a night. So they might not, this isn't UFC where they're going to spend all Thursday through Sunday with you and find out your whole life history.
Yeah,
like Lady Bree just gave us his whole life history from his 3 years old. So I mean, it takes of next time, remind me and I'll put you in touch with one of them for you guys to talk for 30 minutes on the phone or something like that. But I definitely see your opinion.
I'm not that on purpose either. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, if someone's going to say something, I'm definitely going to defend it. But outside of that, any other politics like myself or the team or anything that we need to?
No, nothing like that. I'm just talking about like the commentating. Like, I watch my fights and I'll be listening to the commentary.
Yeah.
Like, and I get this a lot, even when I go out. Like, even my last fight with the Prodigy, I get a lot of fan favorite fighters. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brandon was a fan favorite that fight. Devontae, the whole front crowd. You know what I'm saying? So everybody thinking it's the fans that's saying that I got robbed, that he got robbed, right? But it's really his fans.
His fans. Yeah, it was his fans.
He had 30, he sold hella tickets. He had 30, 40 people in the front. So when you hear those boos, you're not hearing them from NFC fans. You're hearing them from Devontae's fans. You know what I'm saying?
And
so
that was
that's
the
what I'm saying about the politics.
That was the beautiful part about your post-fight interview when you got on the mic and I handed it to you and you just leaned all the way to it. You said, look, they supposed to be booing because they here for him. And I love that energy, man. And I've always loved the way that you carry yourself, Corey, all action Jackson. Earlier, you just mentioned about ATT and how y'all move at ATT Atlanta. from an outsider's perspective, being that you just mentioned that you were talking from an outsider's perspective. From an outsider's perspective, man, ATT Atlanta, y'all have an attitude to you, man. Y'all have a very like. I enjoy it because y'all talk a lot of shit, but y'all stand on it. You know what I'm saying? I like that energy. Could you speak on how it is inside the gym and the culture that y'all maintain inside ATT Atlanta?
Man, it ain't nothing but like it's a family thing, man. Like everybody in there is like family, like Ronald Humphrey, Akeem Bashir, Jakal, Tubbs, Xavier. You know what I'm saying? It's just so many guys, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Hayden, like we got so many killers, man. And we just beat each other ass all day long, and we talk shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how we be rocking. I don't even mean to cuss. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we talk smack. You feel me? And we like to get busy.
First, I will say I'm proud of Julian. That's the first time you've cussed in 14 episodes. You said the word shit. So I'm happy, and I think your daughter's probably watching in the other room right now. So honey, your daddy just cussed for the first time in 14 episodes. Second off, you mentioned Ronald Humphreys. We tried to get him on the podcast. Mike Galatello said no. We're also trying to get him to do the NFC preview show on his fight versus Xavier Horton for January 20th.
Yeah.
Mike has said he said no to that. I know Ronald has his history with his father being here in Atlanta and everything that goes with that. Is Ronald just shying away from everything?
Man, Ronald ain't too much of a he ain't too much of a talker, man. He just like to get busy, man. And when that man get busy, man, he gonna be in trouble for a lot of people.
But like you said, there's NFC politics where people don't know your story that you think has kind of held you back.
And that's something
it would be good to get Ronald's side of the story going into a title fight.
Yeah.
So more people learn about him as he moves on to the next level.
Yeah, and that's something I do want to discuss with him and a lot of our other young fighters, because it's a mistake I made coming up as far as transitioning to the NFC. Like I didn't have a lot of content out for people to see who I am, you know what I'm saying? But the thing with Ronald, man, we like really putting a veil over him, because we know if the more the content gets on Ronald,
you're going to scare future opponents.
Yeah, it's going to be harder to find fights. It happened to me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I made a mistake about not putting a lot of content out when I switched over. When I was at HFC, it was a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? It was my home. I was fighting at home a lot, doing a lot of main events. So I know that's why I know what the politics look like, because I've been the hometown guy. I know what the politics look like. So with Ronald, you know what I'm saying? We just holding him in a little corner. So, you know what I'm saying? Because when we let him out, no, ain't nobody gonna want no smoke with him.
Can you convince him to do something with us, or should we just not even ask?
I will sit and talk to Mike and see something, but it might be a while before we see Ronald doing some media into like pro, because man, Ronald's smashing everybody, man. I'm telling you right now, he's smashing everybody, man. That's no disrespect to anybody else, man, but man, you seen what he did. I told you what he was gonna do. Where was that? Where was we at in Kentucky?
Where I just saw you was right? We saw you in Tennessee at the Areas fight.
Y'all see what he did in Tennessee, man. Yeah, and this is a guy I train with every day. So
Corey All Action Jackson coming out of Michigan City, Indiana, man. What brings you to Atlanta?
So fighting, man. I was fighting up north, in Indiana, doing my thing, and then I got the Bellator fight, took the Bellator fight. No, I came to Atlanta first before I got the Bellator fight. But I just felt like I needed more. I just felt like I needed more experience. I came down here. I seen ATT was down here. I started training, and the big homie V had seen me in the gym, and he told me like, "Hey man, you gotta sign a contract before you leave here. You one of us." You know what I'm saying? I was grappling. I was doing my thing. They like, "Oh, you seen the dog in me?" Shit, I was like 25, 26. He seen the dog in me, and he told me, "Hey man, you got to go ahead and come rock with us." And I've been with ATT ever since.
You're 34 now, 5-2 as a professional. You said you've been focused on becoming more aggressive in life and fighting and everything, man. You don't have a ton of finishes, man. Is that something that you feel like you're missing?
Yeah, man. And it's crazy because I hurt everybody I fight. But I don't be in the rush to get out the cage. I hurt everybody I fight. I hurt Brandon. I hurt Devontae second round. I hurt Elvin first round. But I be too subtle. I'm too calculated. I'm a technician. I needed to look good. I got to get a little grimy. When I first started fighting, I was knocking people out. Like my amateur careers, I was first, second round, the fight's over with. You know what I'm saying? but the more technique I got, you know what I'm saying, I kind of let the animal fall to the wayside and just started to be a technician. And I need to bring that animal back and really start hurting people.
It sounds like that was Jorge Masvidal's thing, when he went off to the woods for 2 years and turned off his phone, and he was like, I gotta start finishing these dudes, aka baptizing some of these guys. You're 34 now, 5-2 as a professional. You've had experience in Bellator, you've had experience in PFL, man. Right now, do you feel like this is do or die time for Corey All Action Jackson?
No, not at all.
I like that.
Not at all.
And why do you feel that way?
I mean, I'm a martial artist, man. As far as being a martial artist go, like I'm not like people be like, oh, I'm an MMA fighter, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? They only train when they finna fight. You know what I'm saying? They eating bogus all the time. I don't move like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a martial artist. So I'm always training. I'm always coaching. I'm always eating, you know what I'm saying, decent. I ain't gonna say I eat perfect all the time, but I'm always keeping my body. And you know what I'm saying? I'm never too close. I'm never too far from trying to be in a fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm always trying to keep my body. So as far as that go, like, man, I can fight till I'm 45 if I want to.
And you mentioned your side hustle and what you do and money. I don't even know what else do you do out there. I'm not even sure.
So I'm a hustler, man. I get money in a whole lot of different ways. Man. So, I do my coaching, I do my privates, you know what I'm saying? I do my creative financing is what I like to call it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bank. You need some money, I give you some money. Go ahead and hit you with the interest. You know what I'm saying? We working. We just we get ahead where we can, man. As long as it's legal.
I respect that 1,000%. As I always say.
Airbnb. You need, you know what I'm saying? You need a car. Call me. Airbnb. You need a spot.
So when you say Airbnb, I went to New York City this weekend for the first time in like 20 years, and the person I'm staying with, as cheap as I am, she is 100 times cheaper than I am. And she rented us an Airbnb in Harlem. So we're in Harlem Thursday through Saturday. So it was horrible. Next time I go, I'm staying in Manhattan. So
yeah, hey, Manhattan was dope. We stayed at I stayed at the New York when I was in Manhattan.
Then they put you up good. I got put up in Harlem for 3 days, and it sucked. It was horrible.
Yeah, I heard. New York, man. No disrespect to New York, Manhattan, like Times Square was dirty as hell.
Yeah.
Like, them rats was cats, like, for real.
It is kind of a nasty city.
Yeah.
Corey All Action Jackson joining us here on NFC Now, show number 14. Corey, one of my final questions to you, man, is what's your why? Why are you a martial artist, man? Why do you train as hard as you train daily? Why do you eat so clean, man? Like why?
I mean, really, martial arts saved my life. I grew up fighting. Like, I grew up super aggressive, gang banging. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even supposed to be here right now, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a story that everybody got. You know what I'm saying? But I was real deep in the game. No cap. I was real deep in the game. My cousin got murdered. He was a fighter as well. He got murdered. He's the reason why I started fighting. I was already fighting in the streets and interested in martial arts and things of that nature. And I actually got him into martial arts, but I wasn't taking it serious. I was doing music, selling drugs, just being a knucklehead. And he ended up getting murdered. The promoter called me and asked me if I wanted to take the fight that he was supposed to have, and he was throwing a ceremonial fight night for my cousin. So I'm like, shit, hell yeah, it's up. I took the fight, no training, no nothing. Went in there. Back then, I was like 25. It was like you show up at the hotel, you jump on the weigh-ins, ain't no medics there, you ain't signing no contracts. You get in, you fight. Whoever they picked you to fight, you fight. I end up getting a nice little dude to fight. I beat him up, won, no training. I'm like, man, I might need to take this shit seriously. I found me a gym, trained, and it catapulted me out of the streets because I was so tied into the streets, I didn't know how to get out of it. All my homies was in the streets, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting my money in the streets. I didn't know how to get out the streets. And the more
was this in Indiana or Atlanta?
This was in Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. The more I started, the more I trained, and the more I couldn't be at parties, I couldn't be on the block. And I just started navigating my way to martial arts, and I started getting good things from martial arts. I got the newspaper for the first time for non-criminal activity. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna stay on this side of the coin. I'm gonna just continue being a martial artist.
And voila, this is the man that we're looking at today with 10 years worth of hair, 10 years worth of experience,
and
10 years worth of
your belt.
Yeah, you better defend, son.
Hey, when y'all talk about me, call me champ, man. Call me Champ. I need some respect on my name.
Champ Jackson.
Hey, if Buddy want to smoke again, he can get the smoke, man. I ain't ducking no smoke, man. Call me Champ, man.
I love that energy, man, and that's why I rock with everybody at ATT Atlanta, man. Because every time I'm cage shot and one of y'all's is in the cage, it be 8 of y'all behind me yelling, chirping, talking that talk, man. And that's that energy. That's that energy that makes the NFC Fight Night worthwhile. That's that energy that gets people excited.
Dave, you know how I get down. You know how many times I try to fight all the champions, man. You know when I first came back to Atlanta, I was coming.
And you were one of the few. And I don't know if you even know, when I sold my Commodore Alliance MMA years ago, I got to meet the Hoosier Fight Club people. I was thinking of the husband and wife, Danielle and her husband. Yeah. And that's when you were first messaging me about fighting. And I asked them, Corey Jackson's fought for you guys a lot of Hoosier Fight Club. What do y'all think? And they were like, we love Corey. He's the man. You need to get him on a card ASAP. He'll actually have people from Indiana drive down to see him. And they said if he's anything like in Atlanta, what he was in Indiana, he should have a pretty good fan base down there. So yeah, they were cool.
That's what I'm saying. I just need to jump in front of the camera more, let people see who I am. I've been real low since I got there. Same kind of thing that we're doing with Rhino, keeping them in the cut, making sure don't nobody be too scared to fight them. But you know what I'm saying? It's good. You get good things out of that, and then you get bad things out of that as far as the media go.
That's why it's important that you joined us here this evening, man.
Yes, sir. That's why I had to get with you.
I appreciate you just engaging with my question yesterday on the gram, man. Look, I support a hustler. I see what you got going on, man. I respect all of y'all's at ATT Atlanta. I look forward to the next time you're in the cage, man. You heal up soon. Next time, you never know, my locks might start growing some ways.
I see you.
And in due time, champ, we got to put some respect on Corey Jackson. All Action Jackson's name. That's the NFC champion right there. Look forward to watching you compete here soon, brother.
Yeah, hey, go watch the title fight too.
And your homework is to go talk to Ronald.
I know they watching. Come watch it. Go watch the title fight.
Your homework is to go talk to Ronald tomorrow also.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go holler at Ronald.
Yeah, holler at Ronald. Holler at Ronald for real. We got time. We can fit him in here.
I'm gonna talk to Mike. We gonna talk to Ronald.
We ain't trying to set nobody up. We want to push him up. We don't want to tear him down. It's all up.
Yeah, we got plenty of time, man. Here, young kid. You know what I'm saying? He only like 21, 22.
You know what I'm saying? It's all up. Much respect, brother.
Appreciate y'all brothers, man.
You know it. David, why you smiling so hard, man? What's up?
Well, first, I like the way it says, appreciate your brothers. I guess me and you are brothers now. I like that. I couldn't ask him if he's cool with D'Angelo Roberts. I'm sure he is cool with D'Angelo, but D'Angelo just blew up like 8 comments in a row and messaged me and said, show him this comment. And I was going to have you read one of the comments out because I can't read them, but hopefully Corey Jackson goes back and looks at some of the comments. But a couple of them I can't read out online. And D'Angelo just said he loves me, so I guess they obviously are cool with each other. But yeah, I can't. I can't read it.
Let's see. My computer's kind of moving.
It says Corey fuck baptizing. That's a comment from 908.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm looking. Hey, shout out to D'Angelo, man. I haven't seen D'Angelo in a minute. I know. Shout out to him and his baby. I know he has a child. I don't know if it's a baby boy or girl. I hope all is well with them. Yeah, I'm just having a little bit of issues with my chat right now, but don't even trip.
Hey, Faye, if you can see us, click your video on, Faye, so we can see that you're ready. All right, I see that she's ready. But yeah, I'm sure Corey will go back and view those.
Yeah, shout out to Corey Action Jackson, man, for joining us here on the pod tonight. Our final guest of NFC Now, show number 14, will be Faye Lynn, and I hope she's able to give us some clarity on her last name. I want to say Cherrier. Cherrier.
Yes, you're saying it right.
Cherrier?
Cherrier.
Cherrier. What is that origin?
French.
French. Okay. Did you watch the World Cup yesterday?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
All right. Damn. So you like a fake Frenchman?
Yes.
Slick. Okay. It's all good. Hey,
I'm a fake Jew. I don't even celebrate Hanukkah, and tonight's the second night. So being fake's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's all good. Well, listen, Faye Lynn Cherrier, we appreciate you for joining us here on NFC Now this evening. And we want to first just start off by saying congratulations on maintaining and earning your black belt.
Thank you.
How long has this process been going on?
So I started jujitsu when I was 17, and I did it for a few months and competed once and loved it. But life happened, and I had to get some jobs and buy my own car and be an adult. So I had to take a break. I couldn't afford it and didn't have time for it. So within the next few years, I really tried to find my way back to jujitsu. So when I turned 20, I decided to dedicate my life to jujitsu. And it's funny because I just made a post on this, so kind of reiterating, but I'm adding some things into it too. But since I was 20, I've been pretty much doing it full time. So about 8 years, 28 now. So
8 years of hard work, dedication, getting up, going to the gym when you probably didn't feel like it, when you were a little sore. Going through different belt promotions, man. What kept you going back to the gym, Faye?
I guess it wasn't a matter of what, it was more of who and why. I would say just the people, the team, and just people I chose to surround myself with, and just I want to win, and so just keeping that goal in mind and trying to accomplish things, and trying to win worlds or win as many things as I can, and also just being around the people.
When I first started covering martial arts, the first martial art that I covered was jiu-jitsu, and I thought it was just so fascinating the way that those who practice jiu-jitsu, whether they're a French woman with red hair or a black man or a Brazilian man, they would always speak about jiu-jitsu in a very similar manner, and no matter where their color or creed was coming from. And they talked at length about how jiu-jitsu made them better people, not only on the mats, but off the mats. Could you agree and relate?
Definitely can agree and relate. It's happened in my life, and I've seen it happen in so many others. They're at a low point in their life, or they come from trauma, or they just have all these similar but different stories, but it's all kind of similar in a way, like they're needing a home, they're needing that community, that support system, and just that drive. That it sucks rolling with someone that's really sweaty and they stink and their ass is in your face, and it just makes life so much easier because you know that when you leave it's not going to be that bad. So I think it's just a lot of people's way to cope and get through things, and be able to look at life in a different point of view.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, Faye Lynn Cherrier joining us here on NFC Now. David?
I'm going to try to leave alone the ass in the face. I'm not going to go there just yet. But so when you were talking about the who in jiu-jitsu, it's cool for me because I think when I was working out a knuckle up doing cardio kickboxing with Dave Vitke probably a decade ago over there and other people, I saw you coming up through the ranks as a blue belt back then. And I think when I was training at Kenny Kim Jiu-Jitsu, I did the Sunday open mats a lot. And I think Faye beat the dog shit out of me one day. And the girl from ATT, I can't remember her name, the little tiny girl.
Sarah, yeah.
Yeah, she beat the dog crap out of me one day. I don't think I ever rolled with you. But when I was doing it, I was always the smallest one. I'm 5'4". I'm overweight, 160. But it was always hard for me to be the smallest one. No matter which gym you go to, you're probably always the smallest one because you weigh like, 105 and you're 5 feet tall. So how is it rolling with other people for you being the tiniest girl in the gym at all times?
You definitely got to get a little creative, but it's fun. My defense is definitely gotten pretty good because of it. So I'm grateful for that. But I do have some kids or teens that I can train with. But it's not the same as rolling with an adult who's a little bit stronger, but definitely the kids they're either smaller than me or my same size for a very short amount of time because they grow so fast. So they all outgrow me. And then I'm like, well, there goes my training partner. But But yeah, it's difficult, but it also is still fun because when you beat them, then it's more satisfying.
And the funny thing is, when I was training, there were moves I couldn't do that everyone was explaining to me. And I'll say, even when I was on bottom, trying to put my legs around someone, I just couldn't wrap my ankles around when I was on bottom. So when we set up for a cage fight one day for the NFC at center stage, Bubby Mitchell had a guy on the card. And I asked him if he'd come to the venue early so me and him could train so I could get his opinion on what he does as a small guy. I think I'm 5'4". Bubby's like 5'2", give or take. So I had him come down and roll with me for an hour or two that afternoon just to show me how he adapts to being a small person as well.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if that's ever been I guess it's obviously messed up for you as well. But at least you compete against girls 105. I went against a guy 6'4". So I'm sure that's never really happened with you.
Well, I have gone against pretty big chicks, and luckily they're not as well. No, I take that back. I've gone against some girls that are super, not as experienced, so it's a little bit easier to move around them. But then I've also gone against girls that are huge and they know how to use their weight and they're super strong, and I just get tapped super quick. So it definitely sucks, but I almost prefer them to be extra large with less experience because I can maneuver my way around them. But if they know, just as much or more, then I'm like, no, I'll stick to my weight class. But
I think you're the only person in the world that can get away with saying a girl extra large. I don't think any of us would be able to get away with that. But when you talk about going against girls of different sizes, let's play this clip from NFC Jiu-Jitsu, and you can explain it after it shows in just a second here.
Is in a very good pass position.
Yeah, she's got under a minute, man. She's going to have to go for that. Everything she has.
We'll see if Faye can do belly down, straight ankle again. Definitely going to have to finish belly down to be able to get the submission all the way. We're on 30 seconds left. We'll see if Faye can go all the way, turn to the outside, keep the bend in the knee. She does have it.
Oh, she gets the tap.
She gets
last
the finish.
Second. 20 seconds left.
Lock finish with 20 seconds left.
I think that was kind of like you just explained, someone nowhere near your weight class, and you still subbed them.
I don't know how much she weighed, but I want to guess. I don't want to offend her by saying this, but I want to say 170 at least. She felt bigger, but yeah, that was a really fun match because while I had the first ankle lock, I didn't realize until I rewatched the match that she was pretty close to tapping. And some people told me, she's going to tap, do it again. She's about to tap. And so Bruno actually comes across to the other side of the cage and he's telling me, he's like, she's going to tap. Like, you need to do it again. She's going to tap. And so I was like, okay, I'll go for it again. And was able to get it. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think those matches are more fun than going against someone my size and winning. Like it's fun for the fans. It's fun for people that are smaller and they're able to watch and get some, hope that they can do it too. But it's also fun to beat someone bigger.
So now that you are a black belt, what is next on your schedule? I know you guys do tournaments yourself and Alex all the time. What do you have anything that's next now that it'll be your first black belt experience?
So I have I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget. I have a few coming up. I'm going to have a title defense on January 15th at the finishers sub only. I asked for the girl that I lost to at Nogi Worlds, and it was such a close match that we're now 1-1. So I really want to face her again, but nothing has been confirmed, so I don't want to say anyone yet. If that doesn't work out with her, they already have someone else. So I'll have that in January, and then I also applied to the Fight to Win at the end of January. I applied for gi and or Nogi. So I'm hoping it's Nogi. But
where is that Fight to Win at?
It's in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They come down, I think, the last weekend of January.
Okay. Yeah, it was the last weekend last year, I think, as well.
I think so. But then in February, Alex and I are going to go, and some of her family are going to go to the Philippines for the whole month. So I'll be training over there, and we're going to teach some seminars and make some connections with the gyms over there. And then hopefully maybe Pans and Gi and some Gi Worlds and some of the Gi tournaments. But just gonna really try to compete as much as possible, to be honest. Trying to get, I know I've been competing for a long time, but I really want to keep competing more often, just get more used to being out there.
Now we talked about the competing side of it, but Faye, outside of the mats and competing, like what's your everyday hustle?
Really just trying to find the time to make all the training sessions. I pretty much revolve my whole life and schedule around training and teaching. But I do massage therapy, so I kind of do that in between training sessions during the week and on the weekends and kind of whenever I'm free. So I'll always work my schedule around that.
Go ahead, plug where you do massage therapy at. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the NFC community that could use your services.
Yeah, if you ever need a massage, on my Instagram, I have a link that you can click in my bio, and it will take you right to my job. It's Georgia Sports Massage in like 5 minutes away from the Battery in around Marietta, Atlanta area. And I also do house calls, and I have my own table, so I can go to you if you need to. I've worked out at gyms before too. I used to work out of Knuckle Up a little bit. And so, I do both, but yeah, if they want to book anything, just shoot me a message.
And what's your Instagram?
It's Fayetality123.
Spell it for us.
Faye, Faye, Tality, TALI.
TY, I think.
TY123. Sorry.
All right, so y'all definitely make sure you support a hustler and follow Faye on Instagram at Fayetality, FAYETALITY123. Book a massage. She does it personally or through the Georgia Sports Massage, about 5 minutes away from the Battery. We got to make sure we plug it, so we make sure that you stay, well supported, well funded, that you eating good, because we got a new black belt on the block.
But don't message Faye on Facebook because he's horrible about replying back.
Please don't.
So if you only use Facebook, CC Alex Enriquez.
There we go. Yes. She's my assistant manager.
Indeed. Faye, before we part ways today.
You and Anna have talked about fighting MMA. You are the two girls that have talked to me the most about fighting MMA.
Really?
Is that ever going to happen for you in the future? And how far off do you think that might be if you do decide to do that?
So I kind of only talked to you about it because I wanted to see if it was even a possibility, as far as like if there's people that are small enough, because I can go against big chicks in jiu-jitsu, but I felt like for striking, considering the concussions and head injuries that I've had, that's probably not the smartest idea. So I'd like to, if there is someone small enough, dabble in that. That was always a goal of mine once I got my black belt. During that time, to focus on just jiu-jitsu, because I did some stand-up before, and it just kind of was hard to focus on one. So I was like, I just need to focus, and then when I get my black belt, then I'll try to be like Mackenzie Dern.
Well, yeah, you would have to fight girls under 105.
Mm-hmm.
So any of the girls would be with your weight class, and yeah, I think you'd absolutely murder them as a black belt because the average girls are like blue belt out there. So if any of them even lays a Nate Diaz slap on you, I think all you got to do is take them to the ground and just over with.
I think that's what I plan on doing, because when Alex had her one only MMA fight, she was like, okay, I'm gonna stand, and then once I think the chick grazed her, she was like, I'm gonna take her down. And then I think that's my plan, is like just learn a bunch of combos that'll set me up for a good shot, and then just take it to the ground, because I don't want to get hit, but I would like to hit them myself. So I was just mentioning that to you to see, and now that I know, then I'm gonna talk to my trainers and get with Mo, because I think she'll be perfect for this. And I know she'll be excited because she loves punching things.
And those are the kind of fights I want to be in also, where I can hit them and they don't hit me, but then I can take them to the ground at any point in time. Like, that sounds like a fun fight.
That's the goal.
Well. Yeah.
But
Is
we'll
Alex
see.
gonna fight MMA ever again?
Are you? She's right here. She said sure. She was really good at it. So the MMA fight that she had, she was in Ohio, and she ended up just like murdering her. She, I think, got grazed and then immediately took her down, started just punching her like 20 times. I don't know why they didn't stop it. But then Alex felt bad, so she ended up just arm barring her to put her out of her misery. So she definitely could if she wants to, but I think right now she's just going to focus on jiu-jitsu. But she'll definitely be helping me if I, start training for it. So hopefully that's something that I'll be doing in the future, because I've always wanted to do one. So
sweet. Well, I hope it happens either way, jiu-jitsu or MMA in the future for you compete in NFC again, obviously.
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Look forward to watching you compete, Faye. Before we part ways this evening, we wanted your final thoughts. What do you want to leave the entire NFC community with?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me. I think what you guys are doing for the fight community is just great. Bringing views and eyes to Atlanta. I think there's a lot of talent. I think there's a lot of great gyms. And I guess I would like to congratulate all the black belts that got promoted this past weekend. I know there was like 6 at 10th Planet, and they got really good people at ATT. And we just got Daniel Smith. He just got promoted to black belt too. So we have a lot of talent in Atlanta, and I'm really excited to see what and where we go with it. And I would also like to thank my coaches, Bruno Frazado, Nathan Hadley, Alex, Mo, and some of my sponsors, Primal Content. They support me so much, and I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things without them. And that's pretty much it, just to thank everyone, really.
Faye Lynn Cherrier, our resident French woman here on the NFC Now podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, on behalf of the entire NFC community, congratulations on your black belt promotion this past Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Have a good evening.
You too.
I meant to ask her, was this her first pod?
I don't know. I'd have to guess it probably was. I have no idea.
I feel like we take a lot of people's pods virginities. Word to Virgin Appeal.
I was going to ask you to put the hoodie up there.
Yeah, Virgin Appeal. That's the brand. Support a hustler. That's what we do here. I'm Julian Virgin.
Can we order the hoodie anywhere?
Yeah, you could order the hoodie, julianvirgin.com. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. That's what we do here,
I'm going to go get Nate Man a Virgin hoodie right now.
We can get him one in a triple XL, man. I'll go ahead and make sure that he has one at his doorstep for Hanukkah, his Hanukkah present. How about that, Dave?
But he's not Jewish.
Hey, we're in the season. Tis the season. Tis the season. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. All our good people joining us here on NFC Now. Thank y'all for tuning in this evening. David, I want your final thoughts about our show today.
It was a fun one. Went over the awards banquet in length with Jesse Wable. Top people right now is the nominations only. There's no reason to vote right now. We're doing the nominations. That'll go on another 2 weeks. And then we'll do the voting, the critics' choice and the fans' choice, back for the first time in probably 7 or 8 years. Lady Bree, I personally found out it's a she, not a him tonight. So I think I kind of knew that going in, but found out more. I wanted to ask her how she's given up jiu-jitsu, but with an injured body now wants to go out for semi-football, living in South Carolina. So that should be interesting.
I feel like you had a lot more questions for Lady Bree, but you kept it easy.
Probably did. Cat Daddy wanted to ask some questions, so I gave him the space. But yeah, I think we could have gone in more on Lady Bree. He's an interesting person, and I've liked him for 20 years. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of things that, you said on the pod that, maybe we didn't even get an opportunity to, really get into with Lady Bree. And I
Clay
feel
Bennett's
like
not as good as us at the interviews. We're the best there is.
that's evidence. One, two. Yeah, I feel like there was a missed opportunity there. I feel like there was a lot more things that we could have got to with that. But to your point, Lady Bree was a little long-winded with some answers, and it did go over time. It wasn't ideal. I'll put it like that.
We need to start putting a ticker in the bottom of the screen where everyone in the future gets like 90 seconds to answer a question. If they can't answer in 90 questions, we move on to the next question.
Well, you know what? I feel like some answers are good to be drawn out, and sometimes we do want people to draw out their answers, man. But sometimes it does get a little too drawn out, and people like to hear themselves talk too much. Which there has to be a fair balance. I thought you came in there at the right time, and basically, you were our resident dick tonight. And had it like,
why only tonight?
Yeah. I mean, look, sometimes things have to be said in order to keep the show going. But yeah, I feel like you were a little bit more reserved for that too. I feel like you had a lot more things that you wanted to get to. But hey,
Austin Green, we might be looking at the former NFC heavyweight champion. And I personally think Austin's going to be on the UFC stage very soon. I mean, at a guy that normally weighs 290, a AEW background in wrestling. We've had him on twice. He's the only person I think we've had on twice so far. He's a good speaker. He's good looking. He's undefeated at 5-0. All his wins have come in under a year and a half. Like, I personally definitely think we're going to see Austin Green in the UFC.
I can see it too. And he kind of spoke on how he feels like it's bubbling any day now. He can get that call. So
I think his biggest thing is to be keeping his weight down. I think if he's going to walk around at 30 pounds over the limit, because remember, other weight classes, you're overweight, you can bump to the next weight class. For him, there's no other weight class. It's heavyweight or your best.
Or nothing.
Yeah, so he's going to have to figure out a way to keep that weight down, which I'm sure he will. But if he can't, he won't be getting that last-minute call and won't be able to take it. Corey Jackson, PFL fighter, our champ as well. Hopefully he gets the PFL call. And I always say, once guys fight for the big show, I almost hope they never fight for us again, because that means they're doing good.
Indeed.
So hopefully Corey Jackson stays in the PFL.
And being selfish, I would like to see Corey Jackson fight again for the NFC, being that he has had a lot of fights, and a lot of his teammates at ATT Atlanta, they fight in the NFC. I think Corey Jackson, he's one of these characters in the NFC, and I just wish we had more people that just felt free to showcase who they are. And I think that's why the NFC podcast is so important, because it gives people an opportunity for us to learn who you are and to showcase that. Because look, this is a promotion. We're here to promote characters. You know what I'm saying? Like, not necessarily like we don't want you to be fake, but like obviously Corey Jackson is somebody who has a persona, who has an ego, who says what's on his mind. And to me, it's fascinating. Every time I stick a microphone in Corey Jackson's face, he has something to say that's poking somebody in the chest. And you could like it, you could love it, but at the end of the day, you're going to talk about it. And I'm sure that sells tickets for you. That keeps people tuned into the podcast, and that makes me excited to talk to somebody like Corey Jackson. So selfishly, I do hope to see him again in NFC cage. But for his hustle, I hope to see him fight on every PFL card possible. You know what I'm saying? Because I think he is.
Do you think he's going to convince Ronald Humphreys to come on the pod?
I do think that after today's conversation, especially with the way that you put that heat on him, he's definitely going to come into the gym tomorrow and be like, "Hey, I was on the NFC pod. It was cool. It was comfortable. They weren't trying to set me up for failure." And I think we're going to have Ronald Humphreys on the pod here soon. Faye Lynn Cherrier, I enjoyed talking with her. It was good to break the monotony and always have a woman on our show. And yes, we had Lady Bree on our show.
I was wondering if you're going to say that.
Yeah, look, again, I want to be respectful. Lady Bree came on here, said straight up, she goes by her pronouns.
She, her.
Cool. That's how you want to be addressed? Got you. We had two ladies on the show. I think it's important that, because it's not just men that occupy this space here in the NFC community. There's also amazing women, whether they're women by birth or if they transition to being a woman, that occupy this space here in the NFC. And so I always think it's important that each and every week we just strive to have one lady on the show, because there'd be a lot of testosterone on the show, man. Sometimes we need a little switch up. You feel me? So shout out to Faye Lynn Cherrier for gaining her black belt and joining us. She was pleasant. She had such a nice, calm spirit. She was real, was able to promote her business. She got her side hustle going on, Georgia Sports Massage. at Fatality123 on Instagram. Y'all support. That's what we do. You know what I mean?
I agree. And it was good to get jiu-jitsu on there. I've wanted to get jiu-jitsu for a while. I think we've lacked in that department. So yeah, it was hot with her getting her black belt right now. She was the topic of social media yesterday. So yeah.
Happy to see her, man. Shout out to all her coaches and everything. And my final shout out today, my final shout out for today's pod, man, is Jose Enrique Santiago. It looks like, and from all accounts of what I'm hearing, he is healing up well from his kidney transplant. Shout out to him, his brother, his wife, his brother's wife, his entire family. That's not easy. Again, Jose is, to me, the OG of the announcing game as the NFC announcer. Now, I used to go to the NFC shows and watch Jose do his work, and he represented NFC in the highest standard possible. And to see him go through this transition, we've been talking about transitions all day today, but to see him go through that transition of becoming ill, tired, phase out of the NFC to focus on his health, but to see him get that transition, get that procedure done, and see him be healthy and more active, like that's a blessing. And I feel like as the entire NFC community, we should continue to just uplift him, because I can only imagine if I was going through something like that, how important it would be for, like, you know, just to have the support of this large community, which is the NFC community, the fight community, one community in which that he's given a lot of time, effort, and energy to. So shout out to Jose Enrique Santiago and his brother for his recent surgery.
I think I see a daughter coming into the screen in a minute here.
I hear her in the background. Sarai, you want to come, baby? Come on, kid.
We can't finish till she gets on your lap, right?
I feel like that's right. So, come on, kid. Where you at?
I think it's tradition 3 or 4 shows.
You right here? She's like, I'm right here. I'm right here. Come on, baby. Come on.
I hear my dog crying upstairs, but I ain't going to bring him onto my lap. That's not tradition.
Because your dog ain't like my girl. All right, so it's your time to shine, baby. What you going to say? Action. Just say hi to everybody. Say bye-bye. See you later. It was a great podcast. Shout out to everybody who tuned into NFC Now, episode 14. I'm Julian Virgin. This is, what's your name? That's Sarai, and that's David Oblas. We appreciate you tuning in. Y'all make sure you continue to drop your nominations on all of our forums so we know exactly who should be awarded for our NFC banquet here coming in early February. Make sure you buy your tickets for our early Hanukkah gift. We're on day 2 of 8. You know, you celebrating Christmas in a couple days. Go ahead and get that NFC ticket for a Christmas gift. Me, I celebrate Kwanzaa. So you can go ahead and get your friends and family a Kwanzaa gift. Got them an NFC ticket. And Gesundheit, baby. And make sure that you tune into NFC Now each and every Monday, 7 p.m. here and only here. YouTube, Facebook, NFC community. I'm Julian Virgin. That's the CEO, David Oblas. This is my daughter, Sarai. And we like to say, peace.
I'm not ending it until she says bye.
Say bye-bye. You got to say it. Say bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Done. Ended. She said bye-bye.